What is up, YouTube? This is your boy Liger, one half of Endure, and I have OJ from PlayerEssence and PlayerEssence.com. And this is basically it might change. I might change the title later on because he's basically going to go into the one-on-one section about where we talk about stuff that's going on. Now, of course, I had one of his subscribers, which was Turner John, and he came on my podcast. We talked about certain stuff, and like I said, we're a respectable person. So shout out to Turner John for coming on here and had his opinions talked about. But we have, like I said, I have OJ on, who's also, like I say, he has his own channel. He has his own website. He talks about games, about all consoles. And say good night to the people, OJ.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Glad to be here.
So basically, I was gonna do a response video to a quick podcast light response video to what OJ put on his channel about what what Nintendo needs to do to woo average gamers. And I'm not gonna be negative about that, because that was not never the point to be negative to say it was what they need to do to get the average gamer, because everybody needs to grow. That's not what the quiver is. But the quiver, I think, is the perception of what so many people have certain things going on that they don't understand what the system is in the forefront of what's right now. So you brought up some topics on your video and talked about third parties. You talked about they need some features. They need online chat. They need hard drive. They need all this stuff. So
pretty standard stuff across the board. Nothing crazy.
Okay, and the controller, that's the next thing. So yeah. Let me go with I'll say one thing. Let me start off with something and let me respond. Okay, we start off with the hard drive.
Okay.
You say the hard drive needs to be bigger.
Yeah.
It needs to be bigger so it could do for the what? Indie games or
for third party developers, they want that. They want the hard drive.
They want a hard drive for what? That's what I'm asking.
Because their games are huge.
Okay. Let me break it down a little bit just in case before anything else. Okay, the games are huge. He's right, because of these guys don't code from the frame up, which is sad. But with that said, their games are getting huge. There are people on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 that's doing exactly what you said in the video of deleting their games. Which is that's crazy to me. I'm buying a game and I delete the game to get the next game.
Agreed.
So even with the Xbox and PlayStation 4, they're still doing exactly what the Wii U's doing.
It's a lot more than the Wii U. For instance, Nintendo's releasing digital-only titles like Fatal Frame that will take up literally half of your hard drive with one game. That's completely different from PlayStation and Microsoft. If you download one game, it's not going to take up half your hard drive. Yes, I understand that they do that, but let's be real here. Come on now. I understand like what you're trying to get at, but still, it's a lot more than what Nintendo offers. So if you've downloaded Fatal Frame, so if you go and pick up a Wii U, you download Fatal Frame, your hard drive is pretty much done. That's all you've got. You've got like one game and a couple more, and that's it. You download Xenoblade Chronicles X, your hard drive is pretty much all done. So
yes, you're right. But then it goes to the point of, if you're gonna buy the hard drive, don't you have to buy a hard drive for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One when you already hold maybe 4 or 5 games on it? I mean, if you're gonna have a big library. I'm just asking if you're gonna have a big library.
Well, if you're going to have a huge one, then eventually you might have to get to that point for some. Yeah, some might, some will. The only thing is that it's in consumer perception. It's really, I mean, you can argue about this, and look, I can kind of agree with you with what you're saying, but you can argue about this all you want to, but the consumer perception is like, I want a hard drive from the beginning so I can download my games and I can just have it. Like if I have to get a hard drive later down the line, okay, whatever, but they want that from the very beginning. They don't want it to be a concern from the very start, and that's really what it is. It's more perception than actual, than
well, I mean,
else.
I would argue the perception point, because there's a lot of people who don't know a lot of stuff about the Wii U or even the other consoles when they say certain things. So the perception is already been skewed and messed up. Now with the hard drive point that you just said, yes, they have. If you're gonna buy Xenoblade Chronicles as a what you could say as a download game, or you're gonna buy Fatal Frame or other games, you have to buy a external hard drive. Now, the external hard drive cost basically compares way less than if you bought a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One when it first came out. If you go back to the same day or when they came out, and Nintendo told you at the beginning to buy a hard drive because they know the cost will always drop down.
That's not a good business. In my opinion, it's not a good business tactic to do that.
Why would I not take? Okay, go ahead. Sorry, no, go ahead.
Not a good business tactic to say go buy something else afterwards. Like say, okay, well, if you want another one, go buy it, and then you give the people recommended ones to buy. They're all $100, you know, for like a 2 terabyte. And like I said, it's a good. I was peddling it like when the Wii U first launched. I was like, oh yeah, that's a great deal. But people are really stupid, you know. Like people don't want to do their research as much. They just want to be able to just not have to worry about like space, like after like downloading one game. And that's really my whole thing with it. It's like, okay, well, Nintendo, you need to just make sure that this whole space thing isn't an issue, because for 2 straight generations, space has been an issue. At least the perception for people, space has been an issue. With the Wii. Now with the Wii U, they just put a hard drive there just so that's not something to where it's an issue people are bringing up from day one. You know, that's what I'm saying.
From day one, okay.
Yeah, it's an issue from day one. I mean, even if you download some indie games, if they're like a couple, like a gigabyte or 2 here and there, I mean, it's an issue from. You're going to run out of space fairly quickly with the Wii U. I mean, with the Xbox One and PS4, you can too.
The only reason I'll say that because remember, majority of Xbox games, even if you bought the game, you gotta play, you gotta install. Mm-hmm. You don't do that with the Wii U.
No, agreed. If you buy your games physical, then that's really not going to be an issue at all. But like I said, once again, it's the perception of what people think. And like Nintendo does have some games that are digital. Like obviously, like they have a great indie. And this thing, Nintendo has such a great indie lineup. So if you're going to be downloading a lot of indie games, that hard drive is going to fill up. So I see what you're saying, you know, and like I said, I agree with you to an extent. I just think from consumer perspective, we're talking about wooing over the other guys. We're talking about wooing over people who are usually buy PlayStation and Xbox. They expect a hard drive. That's all it really comes down to. They expect a hard drive, and if you don't have one, that's a problem.
Okay, you know what? As you say, we'll go past that one.
Yeah, but I agree. I agree with what you're bringing up. I agree. Heck, I got an external hard drive for my Wii U. You know, I like it. I think that it was a good idea for the most part. When I first bought the Wii, I was like, oh, okay, I'll just get one. You know, when I can. And I agree. But like I said, to woo over these dudes, you got to do things a little differently. You know.
Okay, no, okay. Like I said, there's no gripes between that. We just be that. So the next one will be, you know what? I saw this, and I think this is one of the complaints that I think that I could say about now. The perception, and again, this is all perception now. Not between you and me. Perception of the average gamer. Mm-hmm. Now, I've also seen that you said this as well too. Okay, now I'm gonna put out this right here, and I want to hear your opinion on this. Okay, the Wii U is not the third place console, but their software is what makes them outdoes a lot of things. Because one of my things that I've said in the channel, though, you know what? They might be the third place console, but the Wii U makes more profits than the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 combined. Now,
that's not accurate.
Okay, and that's okay. Explain your opinion before I say what I gotta say.
Based on everything that I used to say the same thing, but based on the most recent financial reports, if you go back to what Sony's doing, Sony's gaming division is a very profitable gaming division. Now, mm-hmm. Sony as a whole, as a company, I'm not so sure. Although Kaz Hirai has been firing people left and right, or been getting rid of stuff left and right, getting rid of divisions and cutting down overhead costs dramatically over the past 2 years. But Sony has sold so much software. As far as third party, you get royalties. They've sold, I think, 200 million pieces of software at this point. Sony's gaming division is a very profitable division at this point. They're gaming. So I don't think Nintendo, like you said, the Wii U or their gaming division.
Wii U.
I don't know. I'd have to see. You're gonna have to show me some side-by-side comparisons and everything for me to believe that at this point.
Okay, no, but anything else? But I mean, anything else you want to add to that? Other than that, I'm just asking.
Nope, nothing else.
Okay, do you know?
I agree that Nintendo does make I mean, they sell a lot of software, but they haven't sold anywhere near as much software as.
Okay, you understand the profit margin though?
I don't look into those reports like that. I understand that there is profit margin with them, that they do have that. I mean, but at the same time, you know, you can only, like, you have to look at the total numbers, like software sold. I mean, the games are $59.99.
No, okay, let me break it before I get into my thing. I'll just, like you said, profit margin. I'm bringing this up. Profit margin, right? You know, if I could sell 15 million, but I get only 7%. But if I sell something that sell 7 million, but I could get 48, I could get 80%. Which one do you think is going to be most money?
I mean, I agree with you as far as profit margin goes. I know Nintendo has a high profit margin because they sell a lot of first-party software. You know, I know about that. Like, but the only issue is that they're also, you got to look at, like, their hardware sales are so low, and without having as much hardware sales, you can't sell as much software, and that's what you're seeing with Wii U. Total software is really low. Like, the total software sales are really low. Good profit margin on what they're selling, but overall, if you only have 12 million systems out there, how much do you really expect to sell? Especially if you compare them to, like, if you compare it to Wii. I mean, I hate to bring in, like, the last generation comparisons.
Bring it in.
But like, I mean, the profit margins there were, in my opinion, I think they were higher. They were making SD games. SD games are cheaper now. They were selling them a little bit for, they were selling them for less, but they were still selling a large amounts of, like, many different games. I mean, even if you look at, like, just Mario Kart on the Wii, Mario Kart on the Wii is pretty much outsold, like, a number of, probably the top, 4 or 5 titles on the Wii U by itself, and that's just one game. And then you look at all the other games that they've sold. I mean, you look at Wii Sports Resort, you look at all those games that they've sold. Nintendo just killed it with software. I think they sold over 900 million pieces of software. I think at this point with the Wii U, they've only sold 70 million or so. So, I mean, I understand, like, they have a good profit margin. Don't get me wrong. But profit margin is one thing, but is that resulting in the Wii U's life going to be any longer? Has it resulted in Nintendo making, like, a lot more games? I mean, we're still getting the same low amount each year. It looks like Nintendo is already looking to put the NX out sometime soon, so it's not like it extended the life of the Wii U any longer. So I'm not really sure what Nintendo's profit margin, what did it do for us as gamers? I mean, like, okay,
I'll before I even I'll answer to what you just said now, and to one thing that me and you are gonna disagree on, and that's and this is just a statement blank that we're gonna just disagree on, is I don't know what the NX is, and I'm never gonna report it as a console. That's just me, and that one is cool between both of us. I'm not arguing with that, and I'm just because one thing is when I went to Nintendo, when I went to Tokyo EAD last year, September, nobody talked about the NX inside of Nintendo itself. So I just, without not knowing what they talk about it, I just don't push that narrative of what the console is. If it is a console, then that's good. I don't, but if it's not a console, I heard a lot of people be not, you know, we don't know what it is. So,
I mean, Reggie said it was, but okay. I mean, Reggie flat out said it. He's like, we've already announced that we're hard at work on our next home console. I mean, that's what he said, and that's why I know. I saw 3 prototypes of working on their console when I was over there. So I'm not saying they're not working on a home console. I'm just saying I don't know what the NX is. That's okay. What I'm saying. That's fine. I'm not saying that the home console was, because they had, like I said, they have 3 prototypes over there. One of the that's what the rumor came out with, the whole not physical disc. All 3 prototypes that I saw had physical disc media, and it also had the gamepad light running, and that's the only thing I could see. But again, I don't know if that's going to be the home console going to push forward or not. 3 different prototypes, 3 different things. But that's not an argument we having right. Oh, a bad discussion. I'm just putting a blanket of when you say that, just to say that, you know what, I don't know what it is, so I can't go with that as well. With you. It's fine. It's fair.
Okay, so you have I am gonna to the profit margin. The reason I'm saying about the profit margin is with the if one thing Nintendo does is they budget their games to make a lot of money. As you said, you brought up Mario Kart Wii. just pure profits. You know how much profits estimate. Just give me estimation.
I have no idea how much they made with that game. They sold what, over 35 million copies?
They sold over 36 million copies and made over $2 billion off of one game.
Yeah, it's insane how much they made with that. That's cool.
Yeah, so they make game. One thing about them is they budget the games to make things. Now, I am 100% agreement with you with the whole how they do the development. It takes a while to do these games, but and being that I code games the same way too, I can't fault them or anybody else who do exactly what Nintendo does. So it's not a Nintendo thing like Atlas or Way Forward or Yacht Club Games or Naughty Dogs or whatever. It takes a while to do games from the frame up. That's the way that none of the games that you have these major glitches. When you build that game from the frame up, you have less problems for code dropping, frame rate dropping, big glitches like how that Assassin's Creed Unity of just the face melting off or people just jumping through walls. Now that takes time. That is 100%. It takes time.
Really?
So I understand where people see that, like you just said, that they need to up that. And I'm with, like I said, when I went over to the Tokyo EAD office in September, they basically bought a new building so they could do three things. The two of them, basically, one of them you already know was to expand they hired more people. One, two was you said that and everybody knows that they're merging their handheld and their home console together. The next thing the EAD office have is they also have each of their second party, like HAL, like Camelot, like Next Level Games, like all these other studios have at least like a little mini office in there with so they could do that. Communication could be better with all their second parties.
Okay.
So hopefully that will help it. They're gonna still be droughtish. I'm not gonna deny it. Every console has a drought because of preference. And that's one of my stats. No console ain't have a drought. Everyone has a drought. Now, I'm trying to get to the Sony stuff to show you that, because where Sony PlayStation is division, and just maybe you don't know, but just in case, I have a contract with Sony. I have a contract with PlayStation. I'm like I said, you talked about a video about Red Steel 2. I worked on Red Steel 2. I did coding for I did program for Red Steel 2. Cool. I'm just laying out for people out there, also laying out for you, because you're a bigger YouTuber. You have a website. You have a lot of stuff on your hand. You have a family to take care of, and you have your regular job. Like me, you have a regular job, and you do this as also running your website now. So I respect that. So with this now, the PlayStation. I hope I'm trying to get to that spot. The PlayStation. What makes the most money for the PlayStation division right now is PlayStation 3. That's why you're still seeing a lot of games. That's why there's a lot of games still getting released on the PlayStation 3 to this point. Even brand new games, Guard Either, Persona 4. They just getting released because, and Kazrai himself wants them to stop doing that so they could put games on the PlayStation 4.
What games? I mean, Persona. That's third party. That's. I mean, a lot of the games like Persona. Persona 4 or Persona 5 is it? It's Persona
5. Yes.
Persona.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Might not even come over to America as far as the PS3 version. They might pull like what Square Enix is doing. I mean, Square Enix, they're making Star Ocean 5 for the PS3 in Japan, but the PS3 version isn't coming over here in America because the PS3 doesn't sell anymore here in America. Like it doesn't.
No, they don't sell it here, but because of the install base, a lot of the other third-party developers don't want to relinquish making the money on that. That's what they do.
Only Japanese. I mean, America, like a lot of the games, like for instance, like the Division didn't come to PS3, Xbox 360. Dead Rising. Or no, Dead Island 2 isn't coming to PS3, Xbox 360. Dying Light, that game, it was supposed to come to PS3 and 360. The developer said no, it's not coming to PS3. They canceled the PS3 and 360 versions. What else? Ubisoft has pretty much said they're pretty much done with developing PS3 and 360 games. Final Fantasy 15 isn't coming to PS3 and 360.
You know, that one I get. Final Fantasy. I was in Square in Japan. Yes, I know that one was not going to come.
So I mean, like, there's a ton of games that are. I mean, they're dropping PS3 and 360 support pretty
on the west, mostly on the western side and major stuff. But you still Namco Bandai still have what? True, they have a lot of games still coming out for PlayStation 3.
Japanese developers, yeah, I'll agree that Japanese developers do have, like Bandai Namco, yeah, they have their games coming out for PS3. Sometimes 360, not really though, but PS3, yeah. And yeah, there's other Japanese developers that are doing that as well. But Western developers make far more games than, I mean, the Western development scene is cranking out far more games than the Japanese development scene at this point, as far as consoles go. And I mean, if you look at there's even developers like indie games, they're not even putting out on 360 and PS3 anymore. So like Rive, that's a new game. Two Tribes last game that they're making. That's PS3 that's PS4, Xbox One, Wii U, and PC. And that's in a number of other games. They're indie games that are just not PS3 or Xbox 360. So I think a lot of developers are kind of just leaving that behind. So I mean, I don't know if that's Sony's. I'm not sure if that's Sony's main revenue maker, especially with the console sales being so low, and you don't pay for. I mean, there's PS Plus, but you don't need to pay for it to play online as far as PS Plus. Whereas PS4, the PS Plus memberships, you have to pay for those. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about Sony's PlayStation Now numbers either, but they have that. People are signing up for that. I thought that was going to be a complete failure, but apparently not. People are signing up for it. So,
this. They're signing up for it, all right. I don't know. It's not negative. They're signing up for it, and I ain't got nothing to say about that.
I mean, I don't know why they're signing up for it, but they're signing up for it. I mean, I guess people want to be able to just play games in demand. I don't know. I guess.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm trying to get so I can share it with you because this was really impromptu. That's really was. Trying to find the PlayStation IR to show that they basically are forecasting that they're going to lose money from the PlayStation division because people are still basically the games that sell the most is still on the PlayStation 3. And I'm trying to, like I said, Microsoft here, I have Nintendo. Where's the Sony one?
I just don't see any. I mean, I don't see where they'd be making revenue. I mean, Sony themselves aren't making games.
No, that's what I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to find that what I was talking about, so you could see it as well.
Yeah.
Not Sony's information.
I just don't know what would be making them the sales on PS3. Like as far as from a first party perspective, what have they released on PS3? They haven't really released anything.
Well, they don't really. And this is the next part that we had before we came on. We were talking about this was a conversation we had on Google Plus when I was saying first party, second party, third party. When I use that definition of that, I use what they use in the board meeting rooms. There's, like I said, Sony itself really right now don't really have nothing big as first party. Sony computer basically shells out money to be to most of these people to be second party. They really don't have that.
Uncharted isn't big anymore.
Do Sony own more than 50% share of Naughty Dog?
I'm pretty sure Naughty Dog's a first party studio.
Sony owns more than 50% share of Naughty Dog.
I just said I'm pretty sure. Yes, that Naughty Dog is a first party studio for them.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm almost positive that Naughty Dog is a first party studio for them. They only make games for Sony systems. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure they own Naughty Dog. And Uncharted sells a lot. I mean, The Last of Us, that sold crazy insane numbers. I mean, it sold, I think if you look at The Last of Us and The Last of Us Remastered, that sold 10 million units.
No, the sales of The Last of Us and The Last of Us is, I'm not denying that.
Yeah, so I mean, they do have The Last of Us. They do have, what else do they have? I mean, if they ever get Gran Turismo out, that's going to sell. That always does well. Did well on the PS3. I think they have a new Gran Turismo game coming out. Infamous Second Son didn't do bad. I think that did near 2 to 3 million, somewhere in that range. So yeah, I mean, they're not like Nintendo, you know, but they've got a few things here and there. I mean, I agree with you that yeah, they have to, you know, they have to pay like for like Street Fighter and stuff like that, you know. But
which was a bad deal, but again, that's a different story.
it depends. It's all about perception, right? If the perception is, oh, they have a really good, apparently a good fighting game for people, and they continue winning MPD numbers. They continue selling the most in Japan. I mean, they're selling more in Japan now. So, I mean, you can say it's not a good deal, but maybe it is. Maybe it is because they're selling the most everywhere. Europe, they're absolutely.
No. I'm talking about the deal where you just said Street Fighter 5. That was not.
You think it was a bad deal for them, for Sony?
Why would I mean, they spend a lot of money for getting a game that's game deadpan right now. Yeah. It's selling, but it's not selling the way it did the last iteration. No, and also people's game. I mean, if I had a video on my channel talking about, hey Sony, if you paid this money, why didn't you get Capcom? Because Dips was the company that ported it over to PlayStation 4. It was not Capcom. So they had a port studio that ported the game over to PlayStation 4, 1. And 2, if you saw that the game was not ready as it is, because I saw that the game was not ready in the beta, so I didn't buy the game, but I'll pick up later on. But you saw that the game was not ready. Why did you not just push it back until June, as the Capcom said, to get the better version and let the PC get the hit? And then you come out and with the fanfare that we have the complete game, instead of people being bitching and moaning and what's going on the internet right now with Street Fighter 5. Or did you see what the game happened and you just basically released it thinking that everybody's going to buy it no matter what? Something happened there that doesn't make sense. That is kind of messed up why they did that.
Well, I mean, I think probably the biggest reason for them doing that is the Capcom Pro Tour and Evo. I honestly think that's the biggest reason for them trying to get this game out. They wanted to get it out, Capcom Pro Tour and Evo. If they waited to fall, which it probably should have came out, or even if they waited till June, that's disastrous because Evo is middle of the summer. Evo's July, I think, and you can't give people only, like a month to play the game or whatever. Like Pokken Tournament is cutting it kind of close. That's being in Evo, and that's coming out in next week, and that's cutting it kind of close. I mean, it gives people time to practice before Evo, but that's even still 4 months.
Question. Yeah. What you just brought up. So, when did Capcom say that the game should be fully completed?
They said that there's going to be DLC throughout the year, so it's probably
no, not that. I mean, like the story, the arcade mode that people's asking for, not the DLC stuff like that. I'm not talking about.
You know what? I'm not really sure.
I thought it said June. If I'm wrong, then I'll be.
It might have been summer, mid-summer or so that they said that's going to be. They're going to have the story mode put in there. Mm-hmm.
And then arcade as well, because that's where everybody.
Yeah. Or I don't know if they said arcade was going to be June as well. That might be a different one. But I know that they said the story modes are going to be coming in, at that point. So June-ish, yeah.
Okay, so but when you said that Capcom released this game to be Street Fighter, to be on for the Street Fighter whatever tour it is.
Capcom Pro Tour, yeah.
Yes. I've seen the videos. Most of these guys walk with their own fight sticks. Don't they work with their own fight sticks?
I mean, they use their fight sticks to play the game, yeah.
So why would a PlayStation 4 controller? I'm just saying that.
Oh no, they needed to get the game out so people can start playing the game,
Yeah, and my point
was the Capcom Pro Tour for the Capcom Pro Tour points. So all that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So if that's the case, then why did that? If Sony helped develop it and saw that this game was going to come to their console this way, why did they not just? That's what we're saying. Why did they not let the PC take the hit and get all the bad negative reviews and then because that Pro Tour thing, the Street Fighter 5 could have still came out.
So you're saying that they should have not released the PS4 version? Is that what you're saying?
If I pay you, OJ, to do something. And okay, but you pay me for do something, and you see that it is not ready yet, even though you have I'm doing it for somebody else. All right, but you would have the option to say, okay, you know what, push it back because the Pro Tour doesn't got to do nothing with PlayStation 4 unless are they one of the biggest sponsors for that thing? I'm just asking because that one I don't know the answer to.
Well, yeah, they'd probably be a sponsor because since the game, they have an exclusivity deal, so that's marketing for it. So yeah, I would definitely say that they're a sponsor of that. But I mean, Sony, all the companies all sponsor, like Nintendo sponsors Evo, you know, they all sponsor stuff that they have games in there. But yeah, Sony's definitely sponsored.
No, and when I say that's why I asked the question. Are they the one Sony's going to do it, Nintendo's going to do it at Evo? You said Capcom Tour. That's what I'm trying to separate. I'm not saying Evo. I'm cutting the two different.
Yes, Sony's definitely going to help sponsor the Capcom Pro Tour because they have a game that's exclusive on their system.
Okay, so they have something that's exclusive on the system where a lot of people are right now who going to go to the Pro Tour, not going to use their controller. Also, a lot of people who are not basically returning the game or not liking the game, giving bad review scores because GameStop has also come out. A lot of people return Street Fighter 5 because of the bad publicity that game has gotten. So, as a business, would you take that hit, or would you have pushed it back a little later to what the guys when they came out and state again? I stated they said June. I thought it said June. So
without me knowing the actual financials of the deal and how much you would lose in that time, it's hard. But just personally, me, yeah, I'd push it back a little bit to fix some of the issues. But I mean, I can see why a greedy corporation, you know, would do something like this, and they did. They released it early. But I mean, I can see why they would do it because they know the numbers, they know the financials. Personally, me, I would have waited a little bit more. But you know,
okay,
it's not my money.
Okay, not to scapegoat the situation, I'll bring this up. So you shouldn't see that. Okay. Now this right here, can you see the screen?
I don't see anything that you're posting, though. Okay, now I can.
Okay. All right. Now this came out of last year's full financial report. So you could go to the Sony IR page and go to the year end to basically 2014's IR page. Now this quote is taken from Sony's. This right here, I took is from and you could, like I said, you click on it right now. You can see right here Sony Net IR info library. You go there and click on the material. You could go to the IR page, you know, of 2014. So this quote was taken out that the sales are expected to remain essentially flat year on. Operation income is expected to decrease year on year, primarily due to the impact of the decrease in the PlayStation 3 sales. That's negatively impacting foreign exchange rate, which is everybody. That's Nintendo has the same problem with the exchange rate. I'm not going to even. That's the truth. But partially offset the impact of the increased sales of the PlayStation 4. And again, that quote is inside of that.
And that date is, and that's the date on that is
July. I posted after reading the thing July 30, 2015.
You have anything more recent? Because there's been more financial reports since then.
Yeah, but they don't give you the full. I mean, yeah, there have been more financial reports from since then, but they don't give you when you have these big corporations and you read some of the stuff, they're gonna give you everything at the year end. They're not gonna give you some stuff. Nintendo does the exact same thing too. They're gonna give you some stuff the quarterly, of course. They're gonna give you the quarterly, they'll give you the half year, but when you look at the impact of what happened over that period year, it always ends at the end of the year. Now, this is setting up for what's going on right now, that people right now, like you just said, nobody's buying PlayStation 3s as much. That basically is trickling down to almost nothing. It's still up there. It still sells more than the Wii, of course. But a lot of games, I guess that's my point was going to say that Sony makes a lot of games. Not Sony. What I'm saying, God, not Sony. The third parties, Namco, like you said, on the Japanese side, they take their games and they put it on these consoles. Now, because it's easy to develop, now they understand development, whatever, they're gonna make these big games, put it on here to get their profit margin. Now, PlayStation 4 has sold over 35 million. I didn't see the recent sales, but all the games that PlayStation 4 have sold have been Sony, the third parties, has been basically licensing fees for using the PlayStation 4. Now, Naughty Dog, like you just said, with Uncharted 4, that's going to be a big game for them. Because that's saying, like you said, or Ratchet and Clank, those two games, those are the exclusive library for them. And I know you never argue that point, so I'm not saying it to I'm just letting for people to understand where we're coming from. Because first party, I think first my stance when it comes to this thing is I want each company have better first parties. Not only Nintendo, I want Microsoft to have more first party games, just the PlayStation. I think the market, that's what the market needs right now. Because right now the market's on a downslide. Because last year, and the only reason I brought let me set it up soon. The only reason I brought up the year and stuff that I'm sharing with you right now, because last year every major gaming company went on a reconstruction. Nintendo, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, Microsoft, everyone went on a reconstruction last year because the sales are nowhere projected to where it's supposed to be, as everyone's going through that.
Okay.
So every company, on the IR page of Sony, they also brought up how many the average user, not gamer, average user who bought games for Sony. The average user who bought games for Sony owns about 3 games, while for Nintendo is about 7. And that's people who don't sell like in.
They said the average user.
Yeah, because not many people buy PlayStation 4, and again, you can go to the IR page again and see what Kazrai says about who's buying the PlayStation 4. The average user for PlayStation 4 buys for features, as you brought up in your video about features.
They buy for, like, I don't know if they buy it.
They buy it for streaming.
They buy it for.
There are people out there who buy it for who play 1 or 2 games, but they mostly use it. But they mostly use it for streaming or the Blu-ray player or stuff. That's what they use it for. And that's why I say user. I didn't say gamer. I said user. The gamer buys the game. I'm not denying that. That's what the average user. Now, everybody who bought the Wii U, as you say, if you want to say user, plays games because that's what the Wii U console is set up to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's sometimes people have auxiliary uses for their systems. Some PlayStation and Microsoft, they do a good job of making sure that their systems can do multiple things so people can buy it for lots of stuff. I mean, that's what you want, right? You want a system that's, universally appealing. People want to buy the system. I think we can both agree that Nintendo needs to make sure that they do a little bit more when it comes to their systems going forward. And that's really the whole gist of this whole thing, was how can Nintendo woo these guys? Yes, that's great that if your system, people that buy the system are only playing it for that, to play video games. But then again, at the same time, you look at Nintendo's console sales, with the exception of the Wii, every single generation, it's been dropping and dropping and dropping. And Nintendo they need to finally address this. Like, you can't put this aside anymore. They need to address why people are leaving their systems. It's pretty apparent people have a really negative perception of Nintendo, especially their consoles at this point. The Wii was successful. It was very successful. But again, at the same time, I think that success also costed Nintendo ego-wise too. They didn't even fix half of the stuff that was wrong with the Wii. I mean, they didn't do a lot of the stuff that people were asking them to do. They didn't. They fixed the bare minimum, and that's that. And even with the 3DS, people hated friend codes. Absolutely hated friend codes. And Nintendo said, we're still going to do friend codes. They said, oh, well, the DS sold the greatest selling Nintendo system or Nintendo device of all time. We can do what we want, and then you see the sales with the 3DS. Now, I'm not saying that contributed, like that was like, oh, that's the main reason. But then at the same time, when you do stuff like that, when people say, we don't like friend codes, and then you say, no, well, you're getting friend codes, that pisses people off.
No, I agree with you on the friend codes. I'm not going to argue that on the friend codes. I could see that. So.
And with the Wii U, I mean, there was people that were saying, hey, well, can we get, better messaging? I think Nintendo might have made the messaging system worse from Wii to Wii U. With the Wii, the messaging system was at least on your OS. You go there, you click the button, you could message someone from there. It still stunk, but at least it was there. With Wii U, they actually made it to where it takes longer to message someone on your system. It takes longer. So they potentially made things worse on Wii U when it comes to messaging. And that's not good. That's not good. So they need to really listen this time. I think they need to listen. I understand why they didn't listen last time. They sold 100 million Wiis. Why listen?
They sold 100 million Wiis. I would love to hear your opinion on this. Why did it so? What do you think helped them sell 100 million Wiis?
Casual gamers, and people looking for something new and exciting. I think it was a combination of things. It was also a combination of Microsoft and Sony messing up, blundering things up. I mean, I think it's kind of, there's a parallel between this generation and last generation, between how Nintendo and Microsoft kind of messed up, so it kind of propelled Sony. Last generation, Microsoft messed up big with the RROD, and Sony messed up big with the price of the PS3. So the Wii looked like a really attractive option at $250 and 0 issues, and you can buy Zelda, and you can play this really cool, new, innovative motion control stuff. So I think that's just what propelled the system. But
also you got to add in the free advertisement they get. The Wii got a ton of free advertisement when that came out.
It got a lot of publicity for what they're doing with motion controls, for the simplicity, for things like that. But in the process, Nintendo didn't. Nintendo, like they said, okay, like when they brought out with the Wii, like, oh, this system's for you. Well, if this system's then they pointed to the core gamers, Reggie at E3 2011. Yeah, he put this system's for you, but we're just not going to add any of the things that we know you guys want. We're going to do the bare minimum, which was get rid of friend codes, which they did. Give them credit for that. Thanks for getting rid of friend codes. But like, people wanted cross-game chat on Wii, didn't get it. People wanted party chat on Wii, kind of got it, but not really. People wanted a better messaging system. Maybe it might have made it worse. So that's the thing. Right? That's the thing. They got to listen this time, because they didn't sell 100 million Wii U's. They only sold 12 million so far.
No. Okay, so what we got is like the Wii U came to this. The Wii came to the Wii U now, and like I said, I would never argue against, because I've said on my podcast many times, the Wii U name and the advertisement is kind of. At first, I was staunchly of saying that it was hard to they should advertise, but and it should have. That's not the point. But understanding now how much money it takes to advertise now, I lean back a little bit on that. But again, that's just from my business sense.
I've never been a big on the advertising was, I guess you can say, yes, it was the main issue, but I've never been big on that. Like, you have plenty of time. There's been plenty of time to turn around advertising. People are still blaming it to them. Microsoft had horrible advertising too with the Xbox One. It sold really bad. But what did they do? They changed the things. They took out Connect. They changed the feature sets. They continue to add things. They have a feedback page to where you can request features. Oh,
that's a good question. Okay, so Microsoft did all this, which is so do you know? Okay, so right now the Xbox One division makes 1% of profits to Microsoft. It's also the Xbox One is also selling it still at a loss. The only console that ever made money for them was the 360, and it was supposed to make money, but like you said, the Red Ring of Death came around and sucked up all of that profit. They only made profits on the Xbox 360 in 2012 when they figure out stuff was going on with that. So, at the detriment of gain all the sales, when I'm still selling the console at a loss, is that still?
Think of how bad it could have been if they didn't fix those things.
No. I'm talking about Xbox One now. It's still going back to sell a loss, and also in 2013, and even to the last Microsoft.
That's what I'm saying. They still it's still outpacing the Xbox 360. What else can you do? If it's selling at a loss, it's selling at a loss. But you have to just try to sell as much as you can. You have to just continue pushing on, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if they didn't do those things, things would have been a lot worse. You talk about Lionhead getting shut down. We would have seen probably more studios being shut down at this point, because, I've been a proponent of Microsoft. Like, hey, the Microsoft they haven't really made any money, but think of how bad it could have been if they didn't change those things and change the perception of their system. I think that's the tale of two companies. Nintendo didn't change anything when it came to the Wii U. People were asking for stuff. They just closed their ears and said, we're not going to fix anything. Whereas Microsoft said, okay, we're gonna change some things up. We're going to listen to you guys. We're going to add some features in that you guys want. And still to this point, they're still doing that. And that's really what I'm concerned about. Like
okay,
if Microsoft goes belly up or whatever, then they do or whatever. But all I'm worried about is, are they listening to me? Are they adding features in that I want? Are they doing things that I want? Nintendo does that sometimes. Like with Star Fox, I think they did a good job of listening to consumers.
Okay, that's a good one. Keep on going. I don't want to go back to that, but keep on going. Sorry.
Sure. And I think they do. I think when it comes to software, Nintendo will sometimes do a good job of listening to consumers. But when it comes to their hardware, it's like they just say, "Oh, well, screw you guys." No. We're gonna make our hardware. We're not gonna add anything you guys want, and that's that. And like end the case. And I don't like that. I think that's a horrible way to sell your system. Like that's horrible. And you're looking at the sales, like, you know, the sales kind of proof in the pudding when it comes to that, not listening to the consumers.
Oh, okay. So they have so right now, okay. So let's go to the perception thing, like you just said right there. So if I remember clearly, and I would think you remember clearly too. But like I said, even though for me, my stance is I don't care as long as it makes profit. That means you're gonna make some more games. So for me, I think right now Xbox is messing up because I don't care if you sell a console if you're not making money, which they're losing money off of the console. They gotta spend license to the Sony. Not Sony. Why because I'm listening to people talking crap. The Blu-ray Association also for the Blu-ray, also for the drive. So they lose it on those ends when they're selling their console only itself. So
that's what they have Xbox Live for, to help make up those costs, because they are selling Xbox Live memberships and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't think it's enough to cover some of the issues.
It's not. Go ahead.
But I do think at the same time, it's just about doing as much as you can. You've got to sell systems. Like the only way that you're going to change things around is if you sell systems. The more systems you sell, the more potential software you sell. So all Microsoft can do at this point is try to sell as much as they can and listen to consumers. That's all they can do. I mean, I understand like they're not as profitable, but they need to just listen to consumers and try to sell as much as they can.
So with the stance you just said right there, so if as you just said with the software, even though the other consoles attachment rate and software rate of their own party games are nowhere close to Nintendo's, that's still no?
Well, Nintendo only has first party software, really. They don't really have third party software to sell. So yeah, Nintendo, I would hope that Nintendo have really high first party attach rates.
That's what you buy a Nintendo console for. I'm not denying that. I'm applying that same logic to the other consoles, as even though they have bigger install base, the games that proprietary only on the exclusives that's on their consoles don't even match up to a console that's way less than their console.
Well, yeah, because they have more software. The money is spread out a little bit more. Even though they have more people, the money is spread out a little bit more. People are buying. People like to buy Grand Theft Auto on anime. Please.
Yeah, you can let it go. It doesn't bother me.
She's just being silly right now, though. She doesn't have anything to say. She's just being silly. So yeah, the consoles, as far as like a lot of people like to just buy like Grand Theft Auto, like on PlayStation. Like Grand Theft Auto, I think that sold like over 10 million units on PlayStation 4, like Grand Theft Auto. That's insane. Like people buy, like they just buy them for third-party games, and that's why Sony and Microsoft invest into third-party games, because they know that that people buy their systems for third-party games. You know? So,
okay. But you understand that though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I bought a I think I might have bought a PS4 for a third party. What did I buy a PS4 for? I don't know. I just bought one, I guess.
You had one. When you did the unboxing, you were talking about the Final Fantasy 15, which I have to agree with you. When I played it over in Square Japan, so far when I played it over there, it was a very good game, and I have high hopes for it. It needs to sell a ton of software though, because it blew the budget 4 times. And
yes, it does need to sell a lot.
That's the part that kind of sucks. Square Japan, and right now, maybe you. I don't know if you know this, but Square Japan and Square Europe is having a little tit for tat.
Well, yeah, they're always having issues. I'm talking about an internal tit for tat. Like, internally, I've I've heard of plenty of stuff with Square Enix Europe and Square Enix Japan, and even some here. Square Enix, like the America, like after the Los Angeles studio got shut down. You know, like
Yeah,
I've even.
But what Square Europe is the parent company. Like I said, the reason, like all the Dragon Quest, all the stuff that's coming back to the place, back to the Wii, because the dominant market over there in Japan is Nintendo Wii U and 3DS. That's the dominant market of people buying most of the software of. Not what I mean by that, I mean like people buying software of the PS3 Vita still outsells the Wii U. I'm not talking so not as console sales, but like the biggest games that sells in Japan are on those two consoles.
3DS specifically, but yes, 3DS is just a beast in Japan. Yeah.
Well, it's 3DS, yeah, but still, Splatoon. Like I said, Splatoon is selling like. When I was over there, I was just surprised at how many people was gobbling up Splatoon before it sold to you got to the million and everything. And
oh yeah, I mean Splatoon does well. Nintendo has a few titles, but compared to the Nintendo 3DS, it's not even close.
No, I'm not. But if you add, I'm just saying. Okay, let me put this would be a better perception if you add the Wii U and the 3DS is the bigger one. You're right. I'm not saying that's not, but you add the Wii U and the 3DS together, the most software that sell for the millions over in Japan is basically 60%.
Yeah, it's a huge market shift for Nintendo. It's that they definitely capture that huge market.
And that's what Square is. That's why Square Japan has been going tit for tat, because Square Europe is saying that they don't want them to do certain things, and Square Japan say, well, they're the biggest market over there. We're going to put our games back on there. We try to license some stuff over there. Now this is anecdotal evidence. I can't prove that part to you, because when I went to Japan, I went to Namco Bandai, Platinum Games, Nintendo EAD, and also Square Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over there because of the company I own. We do coding for sound effects and sound and music, and basically called 40 effects. We hit a sword, you hit a sound. Like that's what I did for Red Steel too. Our company did the sound effects and do the coding for the music in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went over there, I was looking contract and stuff. So that's so Square Japan is doing that, while Square Enix Europe doesn't like that kind of thing. So right now they're bumping heads. Mm-hmm. So I hope it does not turn out to be like a Sega Japan and Sega or Sega America. I don't want it to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was their downfall. They're bumping heads too much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
With that, so going back to like how you said now with the Star Fox, what do you think? You said that they listened to the fans. So what do you think happened? What do you think they added when they pushed it back? That you said it was for the fans? Because I mean, I think it's a perception out there again. But so I want to, like I said, give a fair shot to what you have to say about it.
Well, just based on some of the interviews that they talked about, like I don't know if you saw the row of interviews that Miyamoto had with the big YouTubers.
Yeah, I saw the one with the Completionists and also with Jay Wiz.
Yeah, Jay Wiz and all of them. So I think that really maybe the fan feedback caused them to say, hey, maybe we should take a little bit more time to pulse this up, because there was a lot of negative reaction to the game.
The polish part was going to happen, but I understand that. That's how Nintendo does the game. They always do game design and also make sure the game is solid before they do polish it, because that's what happened to Mario 3D World. That's what happened. That also the Xenoblade Chronicles X. That happened to a lot of their games. So that perception, I understand. That's an argument point. I'm just bringing it up, just saying that.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were going to definitely fix things up, but we already knew this game didn't have the biggest development time in the first place. They really had nothing to show at E3 2014, and then it was supposed to launch at E3. I mean, what they showed was so rudimentary, according to Jose Otero and Brian Altano over at IGN. It was so bland and basic and very low, low res, which they really had nothing. They're just concepts and stuff, and barely had the demo up and running in 2014. Then 2015 was supposed to launch. This game was obviously somewhat fast turnaround, and maybe if the fan perception wasn't so negative, maybe they just would have launched it. Maybe they just would have launched it, and if all the fans said, "Oh, this looks great, this is amazing," people weren't negative about it, maybe they would have just launched it in 2015. Who knows?
Well, again, that was one of the games I played over there. So, but I mean, one of the biggest gripes was, and I just talked about this in the podcast just not a while ago. Later later back. No, Tuesday. I want to say later back. Tuesday. Okay. Most of the fan perception was they wanted to have multiplayer, wasn't it?
It was, and graphics.
No,
it
graphics. Yeah. We just talked about it, so I'm not.
It was multiplayer, graphics, and the motion controls. When I played it at E3, I hated the motion controls. I still hate the motion controls in the game, but you can switch them off. You know, it's whatever. The game was completely functional. It was 60 frames per second on the gamepad and on the TV. At E3, they had full levels. Some of them were a little empty and stuff. I mean, I think it could have went in 2015. If they really wanted it to, I think they could have got it going. Because from what I played, the levels that I played through and everything that they showed me, it was an average Star Fox experience. That's what it was. It was an average Star Fox experience that didn't look that great. It looked like a game that was only in development for a year and a half or so, or a year, couple some odd months. I think they could have done it in 2015. I think it was a smart idea to listen. And that's what I think, is that they listened and they kind of said, maybe we can do this even a little bit more. And then maybe the Star Fox, that gave them more time to flesh out, Star Fox Guard or whatever that is.
That's where they spend most of the time on, because the game, technically speaking, talking to the developers, they really didn't do that much to the Star Fox game other than, like I said, cleaning it up, like you just said. They're cleaning it up more, which they weren't going to do, but they spend most of the time on Star Fox Guard. To rush that, because one of the things that I saw what everybody was talking about, what they talked about, and that's why I did my last podcast Tuesday, I was talking about the multiplayer, is when I talked to one of the lead designers of the Platinum Games, and she was like, I said this before I went there, and she backed it up when she said, hey, you know, everybody in the West basically wants a, you know, online multiplayer game. And she basically reiterated what I was thinking. Have you played the games? I'm like, yeah, I played the games that had multiplayer. All it is button prompts to do basically barrel roll. I mean, U-turn, somersault, U-turn, somersault. So the strategy is non-inclusive, and after a while, it gets boring.
I would disagree. I would disagree. I mean, not that I disagree with her because she knows her game that they're producing, but I think the goal, what people would want, is for them to create a cool multiplayer mode or a co-op mode that you can play with your buddies, to where you can go through levels and shoot and compete in high scores. Like would be to create something for people to have fun with.
On that video, I gave an idea for that same setup. Not saying, but seeing that this game was already in production of what it is, that we're not going to add that on to what the fans was asking at that time. That's it is what it is. If they're not going to add that on, I mean, I think that the focus of the game was really the gamepad. I think that's the core focus of the game, is the gamepad. But again, I'm just asking. Remember when all this stuff came up, was like you just said, it was a short turnaround from a development. Now this game was supposed to come out basically in 2013, but the studio that Nintendo had, basically they had to scratch it because the studio did something untransferable, and I'm not going to go beyond that point. And Miyamoto was like, okay, then I'm gonna take it back over, do what it is. We did. Wow, 104.1 did a good job with the gamepad screen that we had the idea for. Let's go back with Platinum Games, because they're the only person that we've seen that had the coding to do the dual screen in different and the motion controls, everything with Platinum Games. That's why they went back to it with them. That's why Miyamoto choose that team. But my point was what I'm trying to say is that the perception was already not perception. The game was already there to basically the layout of the game. Like you just said, when you went to E3, most of the game, basically, even though you play a couple stages, I played more than you with September when I was in Platinum Games, but most of the game itself, like the frame, how should I say, not the frame, the base game, basically the framework. Sorry, framework. That's what I was looking for. I'm sorry. The framework of the game, where the stages go, what they're gonna do, and all that stuff was already done. So they were just trying to do, like you said, polish it up, make sure we have do the rendering. The story was always set up to go where it was supposed to be at that time. And then when we got that, then that's where a lot of people say we need the multiplayer aspect, online, all that stuff. And that's what I'm saying, in that time frame. Now, if they set the game up from the beginning, and that's why I addressed on my video about that, then I could see what people, if they set it up like that, then I could go with, I gave an idea of how it should be in that regards. And I'm just putting the thoughts in context of when people started talking about online, which was basically after E3 up to when the game got delayed from the November spot.
Well, yeah, I mean, people were wanting multiplayer from E3. They didn't announce it there. People have been wanting multiplayer, but yeah, I mean, I do think that they had to have listened somewhat. I mean, there had to have been something that they said, okay, well, everything little part plays a part into like why you do something, and like the overwhelming negative reception to Star Fox. That's definitely not good for like a big November title. You know, that was supposed to be like a big November title. So I think delaying it was a good idea. Whether it was to add in Star Fox Guard to get people more interested into the title, that's still something that they added in order to enhance the value of the game, because people feel that because the value of the game and the perception was not good. So whatever you do, whatever the case is, that's still based from fan feedback. So that's really what I'm saying, is that whether it was to polish up some things or add in Star Fox Guard or whatever, like it's just good that they at least somewhat listen, even if it was a little bit, at least something. That's what I like about it. That's what I'm saying. They kind of listen a little bit. That's cool. I'm okay with the delay. And if we get Star Fox Guard looks really cool. Looks a lot better than when they showed it at E3. So yeah, I mean, I'm totally down with that. You know,
that's what. Yeah, and to what you said, and as you said, listen to those interviews. What happened was Mimura was saying, which we try to extend which that's the only part I could say preference to what you're saying, that they listen to the fans. They extended the levels more.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did, because it was going for the short experience to a certain. They did their thing, and they had a short. And again, you could listen. You could go to. I think he said it also on what's it, Jay Riz? I think he said it on Jay Riz video. It was like we go into this experience. The people looking at how people wanted it at first. These are some gamers, and they wanted it to be 64, like with more shorter. But now they said, okay, we extended it longer. So that's the next thing they did. I'm just letting you know that's what they did. And he said it also with the interview with Jay Riz and stuff like that. Now, was the multiplayer, okay, Project Guard, the multiplayer, you know this, as you said, perception, you know that's not what they wanted.
People don't want multiplayer?
No. Come on now. I'm talking about Project Guard. You know that was Star Fox Guard. You know that's not what they wanted. That's my point.
Oh no, people definitely did not. I mean, Star Fox Guard was definitely not something that people are like, oh, Star Fox Guard. I mean, that's not. Well, all I'm trying to say is that they just enhanced the value. I mean, you throw in the game for free, and it just enhanced the value. I'm not saying people wanted Star Fox Guard. All I'm saying is that there was negative perception on the game, so Nintendo was thinking of ways. Well, how can we sweeten the deal? That's all I said. And like even in Star Fox Guard definitely sweetens the deal. That's cool. I mean, and the game has online. You can download levels.
And it's basically like I said in my video, Five Nights at Freddy with Mario Maker. That's basically what it is.
So I mean, and that's cool. I mean, and that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that Nintendo did some things to the game, and I think they listened. I mean, obviously they probably didn't do everything. They were probably gonna do some stuff anyway, but it was just good. It was good, and that's what I want to see going forward from them. Well, not in the way that you're putting it, but what I want to see from them is having an open line of communication with their hardware. Like, it's not like, okay, we released the system, you get no updates, you get nothing, you know, because I mean, like I said, going back to the core concept of what we're talking about, which is wooing over Microsoft and Sony dudes. Microsoft and Sony dudes are literally banging their freaking keyboards. When's the next update? What are we getting next? When's the next update? What are we getting next? And no matter how much they get, they say it needs to get better. I have seen people complain about Microsoft and Sony systems, and they've got party chat, they've got voice chat, they've got Twitch streaming, they've got all this stuff, and you got core users who use these systems all the time complaining. I'm like, yo, you ever played you play Nintendo systems? They've got none of this stuff. So
okay, but you just answered your own question to you answer your question really. No, now if Nintendo does that, just say that they do that, don't you think that's going to bring those people over if they complain on their system about that?
Well, in order to even get those people in the first place, you have to have that stuff. So in order to even, I mean, you rather have people who buy your stuff and complain than people who complain and don't buy your stuff at all. And that's really what the Wii U is at. The Wii U is people complain about the Wii U, then don't buy it. Microsoft and Sony dudes complain about the systems, but go out there and buy them. They complain about the games, then go out there and buy them. They complain about DRM, then go out there and buy the Division. You can't play the game offline. That's what they do. That's what I mean. But you want them. You want them to have the. You want them to have the system, and that's what Nintendo needs to do. They need to get people to get the system. The only way that they're going to woo over those dudes is that if they offer a similar experience. Why are you going to play Call of Duty on Wii U? Please, can anybody tell me the reason why to play Call of Duty on Wii U when you can't message? There's no on-screen notification. So if you're playing a different game, someone's playing one game, you can't tell them, hey, you want to play Call of Duty with me? You can't do that on Wii U. You can tell them that, but you have to go through Miiverse. And chances of them looking at a blue light, if they're playing with, like, let's say they're playing Smash Bros. And they're playing with the GameCube controller, they're not going to see the blue light. Their Wii U gamepad's behind them or it's somewhere else. There's no on-screen notifications, so you can't do game.
I agree, John, on field stuff.
Yeah, so Nintendo needs to make sure that they even have the features to be in the discussion. Like, they don't even have the features to be in the discussion, and that's the problem. Especially like when you come to third-party games, you need those features for a lot of third-party games.
I can answer that question you just said right there. The reason I play when I used to play Call of Duty was the remote control, remote and nunchuck.
It's really just for the Nintendo fans, though. I mean, a lot of Microsoft and Sony dudes, they're done with motion controls. They've even rejected Microsoft and Sony's own motion controls.
Oh, I understand that, but they're the same people who bitch at me when I'm pleased. Okay. Let me have something to help you out. I have an adapter that connects my remote and nunchuck and my Wii Pro controller to my PC.
Okay.
And when I used to play the Call of Duty on the PC against these guys, I used to be, they can't touch my kill rate or the accuracy of my because of the remote nunchuck. The accuracy was dead point, and most of them were bitching about I'm cheating. So,
well, I mean, if that's what they do, that's what they do. But most of the Microsoft and Sony dudes want to play with the normal controller. I mean, they can complain all they want to, but they want to play with the normal controller, or they're gonna buy the PC version and play with PC. So, I'm just giving you you asked the question. I'm just giving the answer to why. I'm not saying that is the definite thing. Okay.
That's why like I said, that's why I went and bought that adapter, because I love the nunchuck and the Wii remote, because when it comes to first person shooter, it's the most accurate thing compared other than a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
I'm fast. I've tested it out with people. When we're doing testing for certain games and stuff. We're way more, and even Treyarch said it too when they did Black Ops 2. We're way more fast and more accurate than Twin Snakes.
Which is, yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree that it is more accurate and everything. But with with Microsoft and Sony dudes, they don't want to hold a Wii remote and nunchuck. And another thing is that they want to have the social features, and that's the problem. They're not going to give up being able to get game invites to hop into their friends' games, the party chat, all that. They're not going to give up all that for a Wii remote and nunchuck. With Call of Duty on the Wii U, they do have voice chat. They do have things that you can do in there, but it's limited because you can't do peer-to-peer. You've got to be in the group. And you can't do that. Like, let's say like I said, the biggest thing is like playing a different game. A lot of times, like back when I actually played Call of Duty, I was playing like a single player game. And then when my friend got home from work or something, he'd send me an invite. Hey, you want to play? I'm like, yeah, I want to play. Or I'd be playing like Mass Effect. And then he would send me an invite. You want to play COD4? And I'm like, yeah. And I can hop in and play COD4. I know that because he sends me an invite, and I know that the on-screen notification comes up. And I know with Nintendo, I wish that they had something, because there's so many times I'm trying to get people's attention, like Smash Bros. I see a friend online, and I'm like, hey, let's play Smash. But there's no way for me to notify them that I want to play Smash Bros. I can send a Miiverse message. They don't look at the Miiverse. So, I mean, that's the thing. Microsoft and Sony gamers, you can't woo them over if you don't have stuff like that. Like, you can't move them over.
Even though, as you said, they complain about the same features. Okay, hey.
No, they complain that they want more. Like, for every feature that they get, they want another feature. Like, they'll never be satisfied, which is okay. If you're paying money, you're paying monthly for the services, Microsoft and Sony, you should continue demanding more and continue demanding more. I'm just saying, like, Nintendo, if they even want to get into the consideration of being wooed over, because that's what this whole thing is. It's talking about these dudes. Like, they need to at least have the bare minimum. I mean, you're missing features the Xbox 360 has. That's bad. Like, that's not good when you're missing features of a system that's a decade old.
Okay. So let me, since you brought it up, can I ask a question about that then? So you said they're missing their features of, even though Reggie, Iwata, and Shigeru Miyamoto said that we're not. Okay, let me put it this way, because this could be turned in so many ways. Let me state this the best way I can.
Sure.
Yes, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, these guys make gaming consoles, and they are in the gaming market. So I understand that. But even though those three guys came and said they're not competing, which is that's why I said a lot of people take it twisted to a certain way. So even though they say they're not competing, they're staying in their own lane and make their money and do what, making their profits, which that's what they be doing. They're making profits. Why is making profits with their console, the 3DS, and of course with the Wii U? That would that make those guys still? I mean, you basically answered the question right there when you're saying that if the added features over this is just basically you want blanket that all three consoles, just in the next generation, all three consoles should have the same features. That's what you basically say when you say that kind of stuff. I'm just asking.
No, they can have unique features. Like Sony has their own unique share play, where you can play you can share a game with someone and play online, even if it's like a local multiplayer game. That's unique to PlayStation. I don't think Microsoft has that. There's stuff
a lot of people don't use it, but keep going.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's just a unique feature. There's just not a lot of local multiplayer games. That's the reason why people don't use it. Microsoft has certain features. Nintendo has certain features that are unique, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But just like peer-to-peer chat, that should be like a basic, in my opinion, that should just be something that a system should do. Nintendo has chats. They have really stupid chats. Wii U chat is really dumb. Like nobody uses that. And it's why are you going to sit there and talk to someone? To me, they're trying to copy the whole FaceTime thing with like Apple, and just fail miserably. Like, why are you going to do that? Like, good and well that gamers aren't going to want to sit down and talk Wii U chat. I mean, yes, maybe some people will use it, but good and well gamers would have liked to have cross-game chat. Good and well they would have liked to have it, and then instead you do Wii U chat. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like stuff like that. Stuff like that. It's like Nintendo needs to don't do Wii U chat. Just do cross-game chat. Don't do Nintendo TV because Nintendo TV isn't even here anymore. Don't worry about Nintendo TV. Do party chat. Focus your stuff on things that are more focused towards the gamer that is going to get you in the conversation to woo over these Microsoft and Sony dudes. Because TV stuff, I mean, come on, gamers don't care about TV. Microsoft has TV, Sony has TV. I mean, who cares? People want to have the features that are going to do with their games, and to woo over these Microsoft and Sony dudes, you're going to have to at least have the baseline feature of I can press a button, see my friend, connect, and talk to him whenever I want. And the funny thing with Nintendo's system is that even like when you're in like online, like with like let's say you're playing Smash Bros. Because I'm a huge Smash Bros. Player. There's even sometimes you can't even access it won't let you access like your home menu to your friends list. There's sometimes, they have a friends list that's in there, but you have to go to like, let's say you wanted to add a friend. Somebody added you. You actually have to go to your results menu as far as like your wins and loss pages. And that's the only place where you can access like the home button on there. Otherwise, it's going to say, nope, you can't access the home menu. It's like, wait, why? I should be able to access the home menu when I'm online and I'm potentially looking for a friend to play or going to Miiverse. Like, I can't access that. It's just such a weird thing that Nintendo's done with their system with the Wii U. Like some of the stuff, especially when it comes to multiplayer online, and that's what I'm saying. Like that type of weirdness needs to go. You can't have two friends lists either. You can't have a Miiverse friends list and a friends list on your OS that does literally nothing, with the exception of some games. You can't have some games that let you join the game from the friends list, but other games that no, you can't do that. Some games like Bayonetta 2 have game invites and on-screen notifications. Many other games don't. It's like, it's so wonky. Like some games do things, some other games don't. Like you need to have some consistency. You gotta have universal features.
Okay, so basically what I need to do is put a law down because they give everybody the idea to do what they have to do.
Well, yeah, it's like Smash Bros. Is it's really big on multiplayer, right? Why does Bayonetta have game invites, but Smash Bros. Doesn't? You would think that Smash Bros. Needs game invites more than Bayonetta, considering nobody really plays Bayonetta's multiplayer mode anymore. But heck, it still got game invites and it still has on-screen notifications, whereas Smash Bros., the game that needs it, and people play multiplayer all the time, millions of people, no, they don't have it. So yes, I would say Nintendo needs to standardize and force to say, yes, this is our system for game invites. This is our system for on-screen messages. All the games use them, because otherwise you get stuff like that where games like Bayonetta has that stuff, and then games like Smash Bros. Don't.
Okay, that would be let's see if third parties will go with that because they don't like to be stifled. But I hope that work with that. Speaking of third parties, now I did not see a video about. I saw you have a video about the third parties that Nintendo needs. Can you elaborate that a little bit? Just that the needs for the next console. I'm going to use the next console.
The most recent video that I did, I just said I picked 3.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. No, that one I didn't see. I'm not gonna opinion myself and say because I have a question about third parties, so I want to let you get your stance out.
Oh, okay. I want Nintendo to have all third parties. I want to put that out there. I want them to have every single third party game that comes out. So yeah, that's my stance, to be honest. But it was just for entertainment purposes. As far as the most recent video I did, I just said, "What are your like top 3 franchises?" It's just for pure entertainment purposes, like top 5, top 3, top 10, whatever. Obviously, I want all third-party developers to come to put games on Nintendo systems. I want all the systems to have all the third-party games. So that's my stance, really.
All right. So my question with third party, my question to you about third parties. If somebody basically does you wrong many times, do you still go back and still do a deal with them?
If there's money to be made, if I'm a corporation and there's money to be made, yes.
even though the developers don't want to work with that said corporation.
Well, I mean, you can't do anything if somebody doesn't want to work with you, then somebody doesn't want to work with you.
No. Okay, let me explain. Okay, let me explain more better then. Sorry, that's my mistake. Sorry.
Okay.
Capcom with Hideki, Capcom with Shinji Mikami. All right, they broke the deal what they had with Nintendo with how to make their the Capcom 5 and their games and everything else. Now, those guys were didn't like that. That's what happened. So even though Capcom broke the deal, the developer do not want to work with Capcom because they own the IP to that said game. So how's that supposed to work?
How's what? I mean, what are you trying to? I don't
understand. Okay. Suda 51, right? You know him. Suda.
Yeah. No More Heroes.
No More Heroes. Yeah. Who owns the IP?
Who owns the IP? Is it Marvelous?
No.
Who owns that IP at this point? I don't know.
No, Ubisoft.
Does Ubisoft own them? Do they?
Yes.
I didn't know that because they didn't.
No.
Did Ubisoft do No More Heroes 2? Did they publish No More Heroes 2?
Yeah.
Really?
Suda 51. And of course, who ported over the game to PlayStation 3? Ubisoft.
Did Ubisoft do that?
Yeah, the No More Paradise.
I didn't know Ubisoft. I didn't know Ubisoft published that.
Check it out.
Yeah, okay, so yeah. You know what? You're right. They did No More Heroes 2, but I guess it just wasn't published by Ubisoft in every region. Japan, Marvelous did it in Japan. Okay, but yeah, Ubisoft still. I guess Ubisoft still owns that IP.
They own the IP. Okay, so here's why I'm trying to say this. Like, okay, but so Suda 51 didn't agree to be put over there because the game mechanics was not set up for the move.
Okay.
So right now, he and Ubisoft are not buddy. That's my point.
They're still upset at each other over that? That was like how many years ago?
Who I work with Red Steel 2, Jonathan, the lead designer, he also don't like Ubisoft because of certain things. From when we did Red Steel 2, I put a quote. I put a comment on your video, which was the one about Red Steel 3 for the NX, and how we would the thing. Now at the time we couldn't do multiplayer. Online multiplayer. At that point, if Ubisoft had gave us enough money, we could have done that. Local multiplayer, that one would have been a pain in the ass in what the game is set up to be. And we didn't get enough money because of the perception, of course, of Red Steel 1, which I did not work on Red Steel 1. I came in after that and I saw, and they capped us at the budget, which is funny. They capped that at the budget, but they don't cap the other games at budget at Ubisoft. I don't understand them. Anyway, I digress. Sorry. But they, in that regard, they have their problems. Just like you, if you ever get a chance to, because I see that you go to maybe you get to meet him, because I met him. I met him before. If you ever get to E3 and get a chance to talk to Hideki Kamiya, he don't like Capcom. But most of the IPs that he has, Capcom owns. So in that regard, that's what I was asking that question.
Well, here's the thing with Hideki Kamiya. Hideki Kamiya has also said recently that he wouldn't mind working with Capcom again, and he also kind of blasted Kenji Inafune for talking bad about your former employer. He also said, "Hey, man, that was your former home. You shouldn't be talking like that about them. Like they paid you.
He talks bad when Okami and Devil May Cry when they did.
I'm just saying he said that recently. So I mean,
okay.
No, what I'm trying to say is like you move on. Like okay, you did something about if there's money to be made and you guys can work out a deal. There's no reason in holding a grudge for years and years and years and years. That's all I'm trying to say. It's like there's been dudes that I've talked to online that we didn't like each other or whatever the case was, and then we say, hey, after a little bit goes by, hey, you know what, whatever, come on back. You know what I'm saying? There's been people on the site, same thing with me. They're like, oh, well, I didn't like what you said, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, we cool now? Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, we're cool now. I don't even remember what you said to me. So I mean, like I think the petty type of stuff I understand. Like okay, you know. They did them kind of dirty, like.
Well, yeah, because remember, Devil May Cry 2. That's what I was saying. That if he said that again, I maybe when I ever go back to Japan, I'll ask him that question.
Well, he said it on Twitter. He said it on Twitter. So he said all. I mean, you can still find. That. People make stories on everything Hideki Kamiya says, like websites.
No, like I said, no, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying because I remember when Devil May Cry 2 was made, not by him. He was pissed off of that. Because that was not his team, and that game came out to be had some problems in that game. The one thing about Hideki Kamiya that I respect him, and when I talked to him, and he loved the challenge of making. He always makes his games on the frame up. That's one of the things I respect about him the most. He doesn't just port nothing, do that. No, he does it from the frame up and make sure that this game is solid. Every game has bugs, I mean, my stance is there's no perfect games out there because every game has bugs. So I would never do that. But if you build a game from the frame up, you will have less bugs. And
well, outside of Mario 3, Mario 3 is perfect. But other than that,
I've seen when you could bug, there's bugs in that game.
It doesn't matter. The bugs are good. It's good bugs. There's bad bugs and there's good bugs. And Mario 3 is literally because Mario 3 is literally.
You got me on that because I don't even know what good bugs are bad. But if a game is supposed to do what you're supposed to do when I write the code, that's a bug to us.
Hey man, Mario 3 is perfect. Other than that, I agree with you, but Mario 3 is perfect.
Okay, but the thing is, like I said, they didn't make they took his IP. It was the IP that let's put it this way: Platinum Games don't own basically none of their IPs. All the games, basically everybody they work as a workhorse. That's what their studios is. Because Sega owns majority of their IPs, Capcom owns their IPs, and of course Microsoft owns Scalebound, Nintendo owns 104, 101. They don't have no IPs in their warehouse that they own themselves. So they're that's why I say they're a workhorse. I want them to get. Everybody had and I understand when everybody was like last year that, oh man, I wish that Nintendo bought Atlas or bought Platinum Games, and of course, you know, the head of Platinum Games was saying that he would love that too. Again, everybody was going on reconstruction as a business thing. This is not about gaming; it's a business thing. Everybody was going on reconstruction. So sometimes you got to look at the ways. Would I take that debt on, or would I not take that debt on? So that's
what I was saying. When everybody was saying Nintendo should just buy Capcom, buy this, buy that, I'm like, you guys don't understand business. They can't take on those salaries and then fund those games. They're having trouble at this point funding enough games on Wii U at the moment. How are they going to take on all these salaries and all of these? Like, there's no way.
So but I still say, I forget the head of Platinum Games right now because it's late for me over here. Because you're in California time, so it's early, kind of early. But he still wants to be acquired by Nintendo, and I hope they work out a deal that he could do that. But right now, they still have the freedom to do what they need to do as they're doing there, and then doing Scalebound. Like I said, I've also played Scalebound when I was over there. That's a very good game right now. So I hope they pushed it back. I kind of hope it don't go PC, but I could see the waters right, and then I could see the lines right, and it might go PC.
That'd be cool. That's fine. I got a PC. I got a really good PC, so that'd be cool.
No, I mean for me, yes, but again, okay. Look at it goes back to what I'm saying. I rather have Xbox fans to have the Xbox games, so they could. It'll be more gamers playing. I'm not denying that, but that's the kind of stuff that for me makes me want to buy that console. Now, this is just being Sun gamers and also my perception. Just you give your opinion. This is my opinion. Like, I would buy a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One if majority of the games wasn't coming out on PC.
Okay,
that's me, and that's me, and that's also a lot of people who say that. But I'm excluding those people out there. I'm just being opinionated right now. That's me. Cause I would buy those consoles if those games were there. When I saw God Eater was not cut, we're going to PC. I was like, okay, Tale of Hysteria, PC. I'm like, well, PlayStation, Street Fighter 5. Well, not gonna be buying it. I don't need to buy a console to do. And my stance is I don't buy games day one, so I'll wait before the game because I didn't buy Tales of Hysteria day one. I want to make sure the game ran after Batman Arcanine was that disaster. I was and Origins and a lot of other games on PC, Watch Dogs and everything. I don't buy games day one.
Yeah, but you also have to realize that like when it comes to like PC versus consoles, there's a lot of dudes out there, Microsoft and Sony guys that just want to buy spend $400. They don't want to have to spend it because like PC you have to spend in order to get good running games. You got to spend a little bit of cash. You can't. I mean, I'd even say like $600 is not enough. Some people say, oh, you can build a great build for that, but I mean, to me, I would just say if you're going to spend that money, then just get a PlayStation 4, Xbox One. You need to spend a good amount. You need to spend I would say over $1,000. I would say at least $1,000 or more. That's how much my PC is. My PC was well over $1,000. So, and I can run games really well. But even then, it's still not to the point where like I don't have like a Titan or anything like that. So I can understand why, like, if you're 15 years old or if you're 16, you're saving up your money. I mean, you're really gonna spend like $1,000 something on a PC. You're gonna buy a PS4.
No. I'm not. Okay, what you just said is understandable, and I'm not talking about the person who bought that game. So if an Xbox fan bought an Xbox game for that, or like the 15-year-old, that's not my point. Those guys will buy that console, and if you buy that console for that reason of that it's easy that way, yes. I'm talking about for the gaming industry to thrive. When I say that, okay, sorry, for context, I meant for the gaming industry to thrive. That's what I meant by that. Sorry.
I guess. I mean, it can make things better for them. But I mean, a game being sold is a game being sold. I mean, PC is part of the gaming industry too. So.
Yes, but okay. The reason why a lot of industries don't collapse on itself because each different company does something different that makes them stand out and also make people make the market still viable. Mm-hmm. And with gaming right now, how it is, the sixth generation, I bought PlayStation 2, I had a Dreamcast, I had a GameCube. I bought multiple consoles before, and everything below that, I bought multiple consoles because of everybody had something that made me want to go do it, and the industry was going, and that if you see the sales number, everything was going up and up and up and up because you're an old gamer just like me. You want to go. You had your friends who had a Sega, and some had Super Nintendo. And some people had a PlayStation 1, some people had Saturn, some people had. But most people had multiples too, and the industry kept on thriving. Now, seventh generation was a freak. That was a fluke. That generation, how it happened because of the Wii took off because of the free advertising. Oprah, Ellen, Today Show, MSNBC, everybody was talking about that thing. So Nintendo didn't spend no near money on advertisement for that freaking thing. Because everybody and their grandma it got into common viewing. That's what the Wii did last generation that made it so great. Other than like you said, the motion control and stuff, when your grandma's watching the news and they're talking about it on the news, yes. A lot of news right now, they ain't talking about technically speaking, the only thing they talked about really is the negative stuff about gaming now. So there's no better light to grow in, and that's why I don't think the sales will ever get back up to those 7th gen at all.
And maybe it won't, but I mean, it's just for me. I'm really just worried about what they're going to offer me as a gamer. I mean, I
Well,
would hope
I'm saying that if they offer you for a gamer, but if we're not if we're not replacing people who are getting out of the market or not making games that became popular, because just like you said, Lighthouse Studios shut down, EA shut down 11 studios in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
These studios that everybody likes keep on getting shut down. That's not good.
They have to figure out ways to make games a little bit, I guess, better cost effectiveness. Maybe not spend so much money on certain things that they don't need to spend. I still think that the industry is still. I mean, it's still one of the biggest industries out there. There's still games that do really well. So for me personally, I mean, I see where you're saying. I see where you're going with this, but at the same time, it's like the market has rejected like Wii U. Wii U is supposed to be like, you know, the whole thing like the Wii, like a whole different type of way to play, but I guess it wasn't different enough. All the casual gamers have moved on to mobile or moved on to whatever, and like there's really nothing that you can do. I mean, I don't know if do you want Nintendo to think of some type of crazy motion control and risk it again? Because if they do that and it comes out and it flops like the Wii U does, then there's going to be a major problem at Nintendo. Like they've already went through a lot of changes because of the Wii U's bad sales. Do you think that they should? I mean, there's been tons of changes that they've done. I mean,
give me examples. No, which were?
You haven't seen all the stuff that's been going on with Nintendo?
Well, I mean, I was over there. They combined their offices. Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, so their R&D combined. I mean, that's a pretty major change. I mean, even all the stuff that Satoru Iwata has been saying, like at the investor meetings, have you read all the stuff that you don't think Amiibo was something that was brought about because of the struggles of what they're going through? I mean, Nintendo was talking about potentially doing theme parks now, the licensing deals.
That was point taken, yes. And
so there's been a ton of stuff that they've changed.
Wait. They were talking about that stuff back in 2006.
And you can talk about it, but what about pulling the trigger? I think.
Well, no, and that's what no. I don't think. My point is like you just said though. If they were talking about certain stuff back in 2006 about the you doing movies, hell, they were trying to do Metroid when they gave it to John Woo, and that didn't work out. I still want to know. I still got to figure out what happened to that.
But we all know Nintendo wasn't doing the type of stuff because of the financial hardships that they've had. Some financial hardships that they have. I think they've moved quicker to pull the trigger on licensing deals and on doing things differently. I mean, why didn't we have the Universal Studios Nintendo back in the Wii era? I mean, they were so popular then. That would have been the best time to do it. But why do it then? When you're selling 100 million Wii U's, or you're easily dominating handheld and console. Like, why even do that?
Okay, well, let me ask you. Let me ask you this then, and this is not a gripe against you or anybody else, because this is something that goes behind door. How we did not know the contract takes take maybe about 4 or 5 years to get to iron out when the Wii was around. When the Wii was around.
I mean, that could be it, but from what we're seeing, I mean, the Wii compared to the Wii U sales still haven't been that good. I don't know. I mean, but maybe Amiibo was something that they talked about beforehand. I mean, maybe they did it, you know. But from what I'm seeing, I'm just seeing them doing a lot of different things at this point, and it seems to coincide with their declining sales across the board. So, in my opinion, I've seen Nintendo doing a lot of different changes. Obviously, they're going to have to change some things up. You can't sell 12 million consoles, you know, and not change some things. That's my main point with the whole how do they woo over, just to kind of, you know, shift it back to what we're talking about. That's my whole main point, is that they have to just do things differently. That's my main point. You can't do the same thing. You can't do the same thing, because if you do the same thing or if you try to do something that's too out there and it fails again, you're going to be in trouble. There's definitely going to be more trouble. So
okay, okay. Let me ask this then. And you know what? So you're not opposed to if they ask the features. It's going back to like what we talk about the features. You're not opposed for paying for it.
Paying for the features?
Yeah. No, it's a question. Just asking.
I don't think you have to pay for a lot of the Microsoft and Sony features. Like you can do party chat and all that without paying for it. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that you can do peer-to-peer chat, you can do on-screen messaging.
No, on-screen messaging. Yeah, I'm just talking about all this.
Yeah, I don't want to pay for that, but I mean, do I pay for online play? Yeah, like if I find a good like a good like a $29.99 card for Microsoft. I don't play a ton of online games, and when I do, like I have PC, you know, or I'll just play. I play Smash Bros. Online; it's free. But
no,
like,
no. But some of that stuff that you just said, and again, it's not arguing against your point. I'm just asking because it's going to go to my ultimate point of saying something as well. But to my point of saying that this you know, people, if you know, I have no problem if they have a subscription base and they have a free place if they give you the option. That's not. They think that's one of my things. If they're gonna do it and have it, the people don't want to pay for it and don't want it, they could keep it. If those want to do it, they put it to feature. There are certain things that do
okay,
have costs.
I think I see what you're trying to say. Okay, if Nintendo put together an amazing thing that you pay like $29.99 or $39.99 for a year, and like you get like digital titles for free, like you can stream titles, you get different things, like it ties in with My Nintendo and all that, I would totally pay for that every year. I would totally, I would pay for something if they're gonna put something really cool.
And then for the people who don't want, but still gets don't get the digital game like you said, but still, because right now it's set up to be My Nintendo set up to be free in any way, and get My Nintendo free, then basically that's a good win-win for all of us, then, right?
Yeah. My Nintendo's that's good. I like what they're doing with My Nintendo. Hopefully we get to see more as far as everything that they have in their plans. I do like that. I just think that like in order to, because I understand that like, you know, servers, like online play, all these type of different things, those cost money, and Nintendo is
the one thing online Nintendo is losing money is Miiverse. They lose money on Miiverse because the hours and the time they spend to monetize that thing is ridiculous.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know. I mean, I guess Miiverse is cool. I mean, I don't know if they're going to go. Maybe
no. I'm just giving you what a cost thing. Like the one thing they lose online is Miiverse. No, I'm just giving you a cost thing.
Okay.
They basically they're taking their hit because to monitor that thing and keep that thing running just the way it is. Yes, they're doing it for basically. We're not paying for it, but they have hundreds of thousands of people monetizing this thing. Make sure that you can't say this, you can't say that.
If Nintendo was like, let's say if Nintendo was to be able to, put together like a something that you pay for and it comes like with Miiverse and all that stuff. My daughter has her truck real quick in the back.
It's all cool, dude. God,
yeah. Just give me 1 second.
All right.
Okay, so sorry about that. If Nintendo was to be able to have like some type of system that they can put together that where you have to pay for, because I understand like Miiverse does take a lot of money and all that, and like it came with all the features that Microsoft and Sony has. I don't want the features behind a paywall, but I don't mind paying. Like, but like I said, giving gamers the option, that's the biggest thing.
That's why I just said the option thing. That's why I said that.
Giving like you said, I'm agreeing with you. Giving gamers the option would probably be the best bet. But at this point, like, you know, if Microsoft and Sony are charging people, like Sony has two different subscription things you pay for. I mean, Jesus, I mean, PlayStation Now, and then you also have PlayStation Plus. If they can get away with that and sell this many systems, you don't think Nintendo can put something together for $20 a year to help with those Miiverse costs and say, hey, you get some digital titles and all this, and people would be okay with that? Like, I'm trying to say, like, Nintendo, you're not being greedy enough. Like, they're losing money because they're not being greedy, you know?
Well, I hope this is me being honest with you. I hope one of these days, if you get big enough and you could, or if you get a chance to get the honors to ever go to Nintendo EAD or NOA, because I was basically last year. That's what I went from EAD and blah 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 when I was in Japan, and then I got a invitation to go to NOA for a special thing where I met Koji Kondo and all those things, and then basically set up a contract with them and then fly back to where I'm at right now. So I hope one of these days that you could get there and you see, because it's a different atmosphere when you're in there and you see how certain things go. Because like I said, I work with EA, I work with Ubisoft. I've also done stuff with Harmonix and everything for Microsoft and with games and everything. So my company has made money on all three platforms. And to be 100% on it, the money that makes the most money for us is on that makes the money for us because of how I run the company to set it up is basically Sony and Microsoft. The way I set it up right now, I might make the contract I have right now. I might make more money with Nintendo, but I don't know yet because it's half of it's NDA, but it's really not that much big NDA because of the games. It's not my NDA is not on the console. My NDA is on the games. But with that said, there's a different atmosphere, as you said, greedy and all that stuff. Like they don't really lay off people. They don't do stuff like it. Trust me, it was hard for them to fire that jabroni who leaked the Smash Brothers stuff, which was stupid. I don't know why would you give a good job away for that, but it's fine. NOA is different in America. They got the American mentality, but the one in Japan, because in Japan they do not really. Basically, you work for life for most companies. And when I was like, that was stupid. I didn't understand why you give up that truck. But the major point I'm going to say, so you have your video, and we talked about it. So one thing is that some of the features I've seen there, I am skeptic that because some people are so vocal about certain things. Now, granted, 80% of Nintendo is owned by Nintendo. Thank God. Unlike most of these other companies, where the shareholders really dictate stuff. But my thing would be, I'm scared of it, as people get more vocal about wanting certain stuff, wanting to start getting it. I'm not against options. I'm not against options, but I don't want Nintendo to give certain threshold to certain things, and I want them to still be string on, because if these, like you said, these guys are arguing on their platform even though they got the features. But then a lot of people who buy the core Nintendo games, like I am happy that I could bring a game home and I ain't got to install nothing.
And that's cool, but unfortunately, third-party developers are. Unfortunately, third-party developers don't see eye to eye with Nintendo on that one. Unfortunately.
Well, but then you have games who are, again, the third-party developers that work with Nintendo, I have no problem with that.
What major third-party developers work with Nintendo anymore?
What major third-party developers work with Nintendo anymore?
Like on Wii U, like what are the big major games coming out for Wii U from third-party developers? It doesn't have Call of Duty anymore. Doesn't have Battlefield. It's not getting Mirror's Edge. It's not getting. I mean, the list goes on and on.
No. I'm not. No, if you're saying I'm talking about the people in the past when they did past. Now you're right. The future stuff, no, because those bridges have been burnt out. Not denying that. I'm not denying that. The only person I see that would do stuff like that would be Square Japan, as they have Dragon Quest X already on the Wii over there. So that's the only person I could say in that regard. But that's in Japan. It's not over in America. So, but people who've done like games for the console, they code the games basically the right way of compression, everything. When Ubisoft did Rayman Legends, when Platinum Games did exactly for their games, like, because remember when Platinum Games did Bayonetta 2, I mean Hideki was just because you know the stance that Hideki don't like doing sequels, right? Because he always looks for the next challenge. That's why he does. Like I said, if it's not challenging for him, he just basically was an overseer on Bayonetta 2. So basically, the people who worked on Bayonetta 2, Iwata was one of the people. Iwata has his. He went over there with a couple of people, just like with Inuma and Koei Tecmo. They send over people out there to help with the coding to do the compression and understand how to do certain games for their console so they can understand it. The same thing with Grezzo, the same thing with Tantalus. Nintendo doesn't, they always send a team to help with the coding for their console when it comes to their games so that everything runs. Like I said, that's why I like it being built on a free model.
Okay.
So if third parties, so my point is, if they put the contract to do certain thing, like, to do certain games, then I want them to still do that. Now, if they want free reign, as we saw, there's many free reigns on the other consoles. people enjoy it, but it's still weird to me. Maybe I'm the weirdo on this. This is me being me. Weird on the fact that a game was broken on the platform the year before, but you already pre-ordered the game for the platform this year. That don't make no sense to me.
I mean, people just buy what they want. I mean, people buy what they want. It's just what it is. I mean, there's nothing other than I can say that's what it is. They want.
I'm scared that okay, we will get the other people as you said, but what happens if the core fans reject what Nintendo says? I'm just asking.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the core fans buy Nintendo systems to play Nintendo games. Mm-hmm. I remember when the core fans were like, "We don't want DLC. We don't want DLC." Then Mario Kart comes out. It's like, "Yeah, we want DLC." And then Smash Bros. Comes out, "Oh, we want that DLC." And then Fire Emblem comes out, "Oh, we want that DLC too." Even when the people complain about Fire Emblem DLC, they still went out there and bought Fire Emblem and the DLC. So Nintendo fans often say things that they don't want because change is not good. A lot of them don't see change as good. But then when Nintendo does it in their own way and it's really good, then people are like, "Oh, this is good. I'm going to buy it." I mean, with DLC is a perfect example of that. People said no DLC in the Wii era. Wii U came out, DLC was starting to come, and DLC is amazing. People like DLC now.
You kind of put a twist on it. I give you that.
No, it's the same thing. You're saying that, oh well, will the core fans reject Nintendo making changes in order to accommodate some of these other things?
But what you just brought up, like you said, they didn't want DLC, they changed the DLC. But if they listen to their fans, then they would have never did a DLC, would they?
And that would have been bad.
so okay, I'll just say your stance. So basically, you have to. So your stance is basically the difference between, which I said on my podcast, my last video. There's a difference between begging and there's a difference between asking.
Well, I think people have asked very nicely for Nintendo to change like with their hardware and do some things, especially from the Wii. I mean, there's been obviously people who beg or people who whatever, but I mean, when you're a company, you just listen to feedback. I mean, you should listen to feedback at least, and you should change as many things as what the fans say that's going to help you. And I just don't think Nintendo did enough from the Wii to Wii U. I don't think they did enough. Okay. I don't think they changed enough, and I don't think that if they don't listen to what these fans are saying, they can't woo over them to Microsoft. Like you can't, if you don't add what they're asking for, you're never going to have a chance. You can have great first-party support. We've seen Nintendo has the best first-party support this generation. What did that get them? 12 million units sold. You know, so
even though 12 million. Like I said, I'm gonna do a. And you know what? I'll basically link this video to you when I do it in the future when I have the time, because like I said, I run a company and also just like you have a day job, but also I run a multi-million-dollar company, so I got doing some stuff myself.
No problem. Busy.
Yeah, but I am gonna do the breakdown of where the money goes in $60 games, minus DLC, minus all that junk, just that, and do the profit margin thing, so people gotta stay. So you'll see, and maybe you could do a response to it, just to be fair. So we could be on the edge of how that worked out, like we talked about at the beginning.
All I'm looking for is I just want Nintendo to do better. That's really what it comes down to. And it was really a response to his video. I just want them to do better. And I saw him respond too. Sorry, I don't want it to be where like, okay, and it's not just for me saying, oh, because I want them to sell more and do that. It's like stuff for like me. Like when I play Smash Bros., I want to be able to invite my friend to a game. The fact that I can't invite my friend to a game and him see it and then him just jump into my game is stupid. That's not good for me as a gamer. So a lot of these changes is not just for sales or to woo over these dudes. It's for me and playing Nintendo's own games. Nintendo has the best. The funny thing is, I think Nintendo has the best multiplayer games. I love Smash Bros. I love Mario Kart. I think they make great multiplayer games. I think Bayonetta 2's multiplayer is fun. You know, I think that, I mean, obviously, Microsoft and Sony have more multiplayer games and all that stuff.
No, they do.
Yeah, but I mean, I love Smash Bros. And I love Fire Emblem Fates, and I love the multiplayer games that Nintendo does, but Nintendo often gimps and limits their hardware so much, it takes away from my enjoyment, or it makes things very difficult for me to play with my friends on a consistent basis, or for me to contact them without contacting them. Like I have to go through Google Plus, and if they're not on Google Plus, then I don't know. Like I can't. I have to sometimes send a message to them on Twitter, like, hey, can you get on like Smash Bros? And like they don't respond back, or they're not on Twitter.
Okay, so
they're
these
on their
are
consoles, so, I mean,
let me just clarify one thing. And this again, it's not a gripe. This is just a question.
mhm.
So these people you're talking about are just, and you have a bigger subscriber, so you might want to do subscriber play games. So this is not. So I'm excluding that out of it. With what you just said, I'm with you. If you want to play with your subs. Okay, so I'm not. That's not what it is. But you saying the friends or Twitter and all that stuff, and Twitter and Google Plus and all that stuff, and that setup. So these are people who are plugged into Twitter and Google all the time, ain't they? Or not?
Well, sometimes they are.
No,
Sometimes
I'm just
they're
asking a
not.
question. I'm not trying to. I'm just asking a question.
Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. There's been times where like I meet people like at tournaments that I play at Smash Bros. I meet people and I'm like, okay, they're online, and I'm like, okay, I need to get a hold of them. And I message them on Miiverse. They don't check that because they're playing with the game controller. And then I message them on Google Plus, private message. They don't answer that because they're not at their computer or they're away from their computer. And then I try to message them on Twitter. It's like, okay, I can't get their attention, so we can't play tonight, you know? So whatever. I'll just play for glory. You know?
Oh, okay. No. Again, I'm only asking questions because, like I said, I play Smash Brothers, and this is my part. This is not against you. This is against my part because if I'm playing Smash Brothers or Splatoon or anything like or anything else, I mostly like the people who know me, and I get to talk to them, and we kick it off. Basically, we got the real. We talk to each other, and hey. I gave a good example. Hey, Good Shepherd, you want to play some Splatoon tonight? I text them. Let's go play Splatoon tonight. That's the simplest way because I think that person is cool enough that I have no problem with that. But again, like I said, that's why I was trying to extend it and say, okay, you mean gamers or friends or friends or
I don't have many like friends that would. Like that I would like text to play. Like,
no, okay, and that's what I'm saying. No, it's not a gripe. It's not a gripe.
Yeah. I mean, I just want there to be easier ways to play with your friends, and I think, like I said, I think Nintendo realizes that. I mean, they on-screen thing, like you said. I said in my video a long time ago. I am 100% with it. I'm not I'm not against that. That needs to be worked on. I've said it, but basically in video 2, since I came onto YouTube on the gaming side. I've done that, so that's So I agree with you that to on-screen prop and everything else. I'm just and I'm just pointing out that with like I said, the NX or whatever the next home console is. Like I said, if they're gonna do certain things, they're gonna do certain things. Now, I have one question to ask you, which is basically, and think you can ask the question. It's kind of like a gotcha question. So I didn't purpose it by saying that, but okay, you want them to have harder, better, soft, a more powerful console and everything else. Okay, and I've seen this throughout the years. So again, but that's me on the other side, but. Which one is the which one is the best thing to do? Optimization or power? Optimization or power? Which one's the best thing to do?
Yeah,
getting the best combination of both would probably be ideal. But
even on all 3 consoles, you can't do that.
You have to do the best that you can, and you have to do what most developers are willing to work with most third-party developers. Sometimes you have to take a hit, you know, when it comes to certain things. Sometimes you might have to spend a little. I don't have any doubt that Nintendo could make games on Microsoft and Sony systems optimized just fine, perfectly fine, and they can make Super Mario 3D World on a PS4 just fine. They can make Super Mario 3D World on an Xbox One just fine.
No, but that's not the question. The reason that question at hand is I asked that question because even though PlayStation 4 as everybody, you know, in the internet saying that PlayStation 4 is the most powerful system, there are games that has messed up frame rates, drop rates, buggy, don't work, but a game that was built on another console that's less powerful, but the same game works without no problem.
Can you give me some examples?
Ultra Tetris. Yeah.
I didn't know. Is Ultra Tetris on? Is it on the 3DS or is it on Wii? Is that on Wii U? Ultra Tetris?
No. It's on that's a way weaker software than a PlayStation 4.
Yeah. They probably, I don't know. They didn't spend enough time optimizing it. They should have spent a little bit more time.
On PlayStation, yeah, I'm just giving an example. I could we could go with Street Fighter. We could go with Street Fighter 4 when it came out on the PlayStation 4 when they released the arcade edition. That was it worked on the PlayStation 3, which is less powerful than the PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 4 had brought frame rates down to like the 10 frame rates per second.
I think it really just comes down to how much time they put into like the game. Because I mean, there's been games that have come out like on Wii U, and they're like not as good on Wii U, and they're better on other systems.
Yeah,
so
but that goes to here you go. But that goes to my word of optimization.
Yeah, it depends on the developer and the time that they're given. In my opinion, like Nintendo, like if Nintendo did put a system that's more powerful and the same architecture as the other ones, it wouldn't be a problem. Nintendo could optimize their games and it'd be fine. And I don't think there'd be any difference.
Okay, let me put something that's even more better to explain something more. But I'm just saying that I'm a person who goes with the frame rate. Like I said, this is not a Nintendo thing. This is all console thing. When I said that, built from the frame up, and not because every time you port, you're gonna get these ports that are just taking the same assets and not being optimized for the system. You're gonna get problems. Now, this is one of the reasons I'm saying that is like, okay, everybody talks about Unreal Engine 4, right?
Yeah.
You know, us programmers can bench press which engine is more optimized. And I mean, remember, Unreal Engine is not only for graphics. Basically, you know what a gaming engine used for?
It's used for all types of coding with the gaming engines for the whole game. It's how the whole game runs.
Yeah, it could be, but do you know you could also take gaming engines from different gaming engines to put together and make a game too?
So 2 different gaming engines, and you can put them together. I'm not a developer, so I don't know.
I'm asking. I'm not trying to do catch you, OJ. I'm just letting you know stuff, but also asking a question. I'm not trying to be negative to you, dude. I'm just can do that.
I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying I'm not a. So I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that you can take like 2 separate game engines and put them together and make a game. I didn't. Usually a developer will just say, "Oh, our game's made on whatever Unreal Engine, or it's made on our Snowball engine." I mean, maybe those compose of different things. Or Cryware. I mean, I know that you can do like stuff like the Havoc engine, or for like physics, and then you can also do Unreal Engine 4. So I mean, I know you can do stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So because basically, give me sorry about that. Give me the Unreal like they can say game engines are also not like, how should I say this? Let me try to make it as simple as I could think of. Okay, when we make gaming engines, we basically, when we're doing coding for certain, like I'll just give you a little 101 if you don't mind, just to catch you up, because I don't want you to feel lost when I'm going to say this. Okay, like when we do certain codes for when we're doing the programming for the games, like I had a guy called Salim. He did a one-on-one with me, and he had all his students who trying to get into game designs and everything ask me questions. So he was asking me when you doing programming, like when I did work for EA, and I did like the sound effects and stuff for I came at the tail end of Most Wanted. So I should not even take credit for that. The original for Most Wanted, not the one that just came out. But we work specifically on the Carbon, Need for Speed Carbon, and also FIFA 2005 and FIFA World Cup 2006. When we work on that thing, I use C+. Now, because Red Steel 2 is so action based, and you want to make sure that this, when you cling the sword or you shoot the gun or whatever, you got to be fast. We use C++. So you could change the coding in those ways of making the game work, because of the different. Or you could use Java. Java is basically good for Unity, but the reason I'm saying that with the gaming engine, because you could use the gaming engine not only just to render graphics, you could use it also for like hit detection. Sorry, you can also use it for the physics, as you just brought out with the Havoc. You can also use it for writing the sound script, which is that's the stuff I do. Animation, to do the what do you call it? The FMVs. That's what it is, right? I mostly say cutscenes just to be whatever, but I know we just most times sometimes the lingo outside of gaming is just different from the inside, and people just say just cutscenes. But anyway, in artificial intelligence, networking, streaming, and memory management. So you could use Unreal Engine to do graphics, and then you could use the CryEngine with to do the sound effects. to combine, like you just said. Now, when you bench press stuff, just as do you know that if you put and this is down, so you have to, maybe you can find somebody to help you. Well, no, because you need to be Nintendo EAD. Damn it. The bench press between the reason I'm saying that, because you could do if you take Mario 3D World engine and put it against Unreal Engine, when you see the bench press between those between the games and what it could do, that system being what it is, a proprietary to Nintendo, outdoes Unreal Engine 4.
Okay.
So I'm just letting you know that you could do the graphics, you could do the engine, but the optimization of taking the time, as you just said, if they take their time and use the money wisely, they could make these games work on any system. And that's why, again, I'm not griping just Nintendo. I'm griping at all systems. All systems need to do this. That's why I want it. It's going to take longer. And again, every console has a drop. Every single console has a drop because your preference is what it's going to be. Now,
Nintendo has just a lot more droughts than everyone else when it comes to the console side of things, because they don't have third-party developers making any. They don't have major third-party developers making any games for them.
Yeah, no, okay. You droughts in. Okay, let's just clear this up. So droughts on games being made, or just droughts on, like I said, because if I take droughts on games being made. That's what you mean.
Just the amount of games coming out compared to other systems. Amount of major games like. AAA games. I'm using air quotes here. AAA games. Just the amount is just there's far less.
I can't find my door, baby.
You can't find your door, baby. Go ask mom for your door, baby. Okay? I don't know where it's at. I'll be done in just a second. Okay? She can't find her door, baby.
No, I heard her.
It's just the amount of, I would just say just games, because more games come out on Microsoft and Sony.
That's the third party that does that. Okay, so like right now, like again, the reason I say is so my point of saying it because of preference. Like I play games constantly on my Wii U because of my preference.
Me too.
And I have not ran. To be honest, and again, to be honest, it's just pointing the point out. Like I bought Xenoblade Chronicles X the same time you bought Xenoblade Chronicles X in Japan. I got a Japanese Wii because I wanted to see, because I speak, like I said, I have my company has a branch in Japan, blah blah blah. So I wanted to see that game, see what it is, and I bought it, and I beat the game in the Japan version, but I didn't went to most of the side quests because I know enough kanji and speak Japanese to know how to be. How should I say? To be dangerous and make contracts. That's the best way, because the dialect on everything in Japan is different, and that's just with different languages. But basically, when I came back from Japan, I basically played Mario Maker to Yoshi's Woolly World to Xenoblade Chronicles X. Basically, I'm still playing it out to this now. To play the US version. Sorry, I got the free copy from Nintendo, the US version. That's why I gave my thing away. But that, and also I got like Twilight. Well, I'm giving Twilight Princess from Japan again, from Nintendo Japan. I didn't really want the game, but they're gonna give it to me. Then I have Pokken Tournament, which I played in Japan when I was over there, which they changed that game a lot from the arcades, and it's gonna be fun. I could see it, but I'm not getting 100% on it until I play the home version. Then I have after that Hyrule Warriors. I'm gonna jump back into that because my sister's gonna buy Hyrule Warriors Legends, which I'm not gonna buy, but she's gonna do it. So she'll upload the free stuff, whatever, and then of course Star Fox. So my preference of that, I'm gonna stay with that. The only game that was going to sneak in was gonna be Smash Street Fighter 5, but after seeing what was going to happen with Street Fighter 5, I was like, nah. But my point is putting your preference. Everybody has a preference to what games they want to play. Physical data, if you look at physical data that keep on releasing, they have been consistent with their physical data, except for 1 or 2 months where they have difference. That's why I'm saying that. I'm not sugarcoating nothing. You look at where they're releasing that, plus the indie games and all the other junk. But I'm talking about physical data from Nintendo itself.
Yeah, unfortunately, like you said, it all comes down to preference. So if someone doesn't like a game or two in there and there isn't any other options from third-party developers, that can create more issues on that said system. And that's really where the Wii U falls. Yes, Nintendo is somewhat consistent at times releasing games, but the problem is that they don't have any of the other major games that can fill the gaps or options that the other systems have. Therefore, it creates issues. The 3DS is a little bit better for the most part from what I've seen because it has better third-party support. So when you don't have a Nintendo first-party game coming out, okay, well you've got like a Project X Zone or something like that, or you've got something else to help because the 3DS just has more third-party support, or you have like a Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. You have something like that, and I'd also say that another problem is that Nintendo doesn't have enough. Like the Wii U does not have enough RPGs. Like it just lacks.
I am not gonna ever disagree with you on that.
It has literally 2 major RPGs from Nintendo on the system. Not even 2. It has 1. It has Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I counted Shin Megami Tensei Crossfire Emblem or Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Sharp FE. I'm counting that one. So I mean that's really bad. So I mean I think that's another thing. People in this generation really like leveling, loot, and stuff like that, especially Microsoft and Sony dudes. And that was one of the things that I said can move them over. You need to make more like.
Well, let's be real, Sony, not Microsoft.
I meant RPGs. I just meant third party.
You said RPGs. I'm just saying there are not many RPGs that sell it off the shelf for Microsoft systems. No, come on.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not looking at the sales numbers for each individual.
Okay, no, I was just saying, no, Sony, yes. I'm not denying the Sony one. No,
because I actually have more RPGs on my Xbox One than I do on my Wii U. Like I have Diablo, I have The Witcher 3, and I have Destiny. That's more than I have on my Wii U. Wii U, all I have, I mean, I have Mass Effect, and I have Xenoblade. And that's it. That's the RPGs I have. I have Mass Effect and Xenoblade. There might have been another one that came out for Nintendo as far as a third-party game, but I can't think of anything else. I'm looking at my Wii U lineup right now, and those are just the 3 games that I have for my. I mean, I know there's more. I mean, I have Dragon Age Inquisition on my Xbox One as well. So I mean, like that's a problem when I can count more on my Xbox One than on my Wii U, and the Wii U's the Japanese system. I mean, I wish it got like Dragon Quest. I wish that came over. You know, that would have been cool. But unfortunately it didn't. So I mean, stuff like that Nintendo needs to, and that's what happens. Like if you have third-party support, it's like, okay, well you have Dragon Age as well. You have, which people really like Dragon Age. I mean, I don't think it's that great, but people really like that game. It sold really well on all the systems it was on. So,
well, I'll say this then. I'll say this. I'll wait to see what Nintendo reveals at E3 2016.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I'll see what it is. I hope if they're gonna do third party, this is where I think we'll just beg to be different. Therefore, if they're gonna release third party games on the Wii U, I still want them to take their time and do their games. And again, that's why some stance is for every console. But I hope that they put a contract the right way so that they don't get screwed like they did in the past.
Well, can I just say something real quick with that? It's like if Nintendo's system, whatever that they have, the next NX, whatever, if it gets ports and it's the same as PS4 and Xbox One, and even if there is bugs or anything, whatever, it's better to have that there than to not have it at all. I'd rather have it to not have bugs. So I mean, I don't care if it's. I don't know why. I don't think you should care if it's like, oh well, I hope that they make it to where it's like whatever they release on. If it's like PS4 and Xbox One, that's fine. It's like PS4 and Xbox One. At least it's fair. What I don't want is that to where it comes out on Nintendo NX and it's worse than the other systems. And that's kind of how the Wii U was, you know.
And that's what you will be on the same page then, because that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
But hopefully the architecture is the same. Hopefully the architecture is similar, whereas like Wii U is different, you know, and the developers weren't willing to put a little bit more time into their games. Hopefully with NX, it's so easy to port games that there's no way that you can't have it be the same. Like, that's what I want.
Okay, and that one we will 100% disagree on, because the easier to do something, the lazier people are gonna get. And I've seen the coding for some of these games, and I'm shocked at how some people let these coding get this way.
If it's the baseline for whatever's coming on PS4 and Xbox One, it won't matter if it's just if they're lazy. If that's the point. What I'm trying to say is that what I want is that Nintendo, since they're coming afterwards, they're not coming at the same time. They're coming afterwards, and they're coming from a position of being behind. They need to make sure that they need to help or accommodate whatever's going on at this point. So what I'm saying is that I would like for them to be able to have a system to where it's easy to port over, at least at a baseline level, to where you can port over games to where there won't, like, it can be the same as the PS4 and Xbox One. Like, there's no extra added problems or issues that you have to do. That's what I'm saying. Like, I want there to be easy porting to where it would be like, hey, you got a PS4 version, you can make this version and it can be just as good. You know, just as good.
Just as good. Okay.
Just as good, if not better. Just as good, if not better. Very quick, very easy, very fast. Because let's just face it, they're not going to want to spend time on NX. Let's just be real.
Well, let's go to let's do it Project Cars. Let's do it Call of Duty. Call of Duty has problems now that they switch their alliances to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And there's some bugs that's messing up also the netcoded on Xbox One compared to, which is weird because Xbox One has a better online infrastructure than PlayStation 4. But again, I digress. So when it's the same as you just said, if it's the same thing, I hope that they take the time. But I've seen that their codings get worse. But again, I'm asking for optimization. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking.
What I'm asking for, I'm just asking for. I mean, obviously, I want the games to be the best that they can be on any system. But if they're going to be however they are, you know, they have to worry about their product. So obviously, they need to make sure that it's optimized. But I just don't want to get something worse. Just don't give me. You can give me something on par. I don't care. That's fine. You did a quick port. You did a quick port. There are some quick ports on Wii U that are okay. I think Mass Effect. It's just missing some of the other. It's just missing DLC and stuff like that. As far as the actual port goes, it's good. The port is pretty much on. It's better than the PS3 version, and it's a little bit under, if not on par with the Xbox 360 version.
Well, they have to rewrite the whole system for that.
Yeah.
That's so that's no. But you understand what I just said though. They had to rewrite the whole code for that system. The same thing with Batman Arkham Armored Edition. They had to rewrite the whole code system for that Wii U. They had to do it the same. So I don't think we're arguing that point. I'm just saying I'm with you that I just want it to be, if they're gonna do it, I've seen that people get lazier when certain things go. When it's easy just to do certain things. They don't take the time and let a lot of codes, because right now I can tell you this: when I was at Ubisoft and I was at EA, when we write in codes, people did Ubisoft, or let's even better, because that's the true technology right there. EA doesn't give us the time, not me, but when we're working it, give us the time to go over our codes to make sure to clean it up, because they write it so linear that they don't reloop in case something happens, shoot like a graphical something happen or whatever. Then that's when a person could drop to a wall, or you could get locked out, or the door doesn't open. So, and that's because they rushed them, or they rushed them and say, hey, we could put this game on this and put this game on that. That's why I went in detail actually how the PlayStation thing with Street Fighter 5. So
yeah, unfortunately, that's just how it is, and Nintendo needs those games. So that's why I want them to make something that's easy to port, to where you can get just the baseline of a PS4, Xbox One, and it's good to go. Just because, you know, developers are going to do what developers do. Some of them are going to optimize their games. Some of them are going to rush them out. Nintendo just needs to be able to make sure that they have a system that they can do it effectively and quick, and they can get those games, because that's how you're going to woo over Microsoft and Sony dudes. And then if you add on to that your amazing games, like, think about, this will be the last topic that we talk about. I got to go after this, but like, think about if Nintendo has those third-party games that are just as good with the features, and then they say, oh yeah, check this out, we got this new Metroid game. Oh, we've got our games too. That's a Super Nintendo type of system. Like, that's really good. So that's really what. And that's what I want. And I just think that just ditching the whole Wii thing, just the Wii and like just the name and all that, just Wii.
No, the name needs to go. Yes.
Yeah, just ditching that, and then ditching like some of the mini games and stuff.
Back then, most developers were their own publishers. Publishing houses wasn't around that much. But again, just a thing. But I understand where you want to go to. So you know what? Let's wait until E3. Let's see what happens.
We'll see. It's going to be interesting. It's a great time to be a Nintendo fan. It's a great time.
Well, let's hope for the best and let's see what's going on with that. So you know what? So that was basically the response. Thank you for joining me for this, man.
Thanks for having me.
Like I said, I wouldn't mind to be a one-on-one on your channel. Just like I said, I don't care for the subs and all that crap. That's not my thing. I do it because of the you asked the question and just because of the internet for that reason. And you got to go, so I'll tell you. But because of the internet for a certain reason. I have other channels on YouTube. My company does other things. We do animation. We do all music and everything else. So my other channels don't get the vitriol as basically not my channel now, but in the gaming side of YouTube. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to cross streams as in Ghostbusters to get in trouble or problems. That's why.
No, it's not. I mean, you take it in stride. It's whatever. But yes. Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. I really do appreciate it.
All right, then. Well, like I said, thank you for joining me, man. I hope, like I said, and also I will the video about this, the explain of the profits and stuff like that. I'll just tag you in it, and I would like to hear your response on it.
Sure.
All right, man.
No problem.
All right. Well, you have a good night, man.
You have a nice night.
All right. Peace.
Take it easy.
Whew. Well, this was impromptu, but people, I might gotta do a podcast to understand this podcast because there were some things that was said. It shows that I'm a nice person. That's all I could say. I want to have people talk about what they want to talk about. That's just the way it is. And I could be courteous. So anybody who think they could disagree with me, I would give you the time to talk about stuff. Now, there was a lot of running around, but it is what it is. I thank him for coming on the podcast. I won't, like I said, on the podcast and did this one-on-one. Thank you, Green Pachi, because I was going to add you in, but, I wanted to do one-on-one with him. So thank you for buying out, man, because I know you be trying to get on my podcast. I be sending you links sometimes. You don't get them. Google's been acting like a jerk lately. And, of course, this was set up not to have the question app live. Because I was going to do a quick video, and then he said, you want to do this? So I said, all right, well, I send you a link. Let's do this. But I might have to have a podcast about this podcast. So I don't know. I don't think it'll be maybe next week Tuesday. For anybody who's listening in and whatever, I got anything to add to what's going on in this podcast, next week Tuesday, I'll basically set up tonight to people who heard it and be what we're talking about. So it is what it is. So I wish everybody out there a good night. And leave your comments. I will answer them in the comment section. And you know my stance as usual. There's no perfect games out there. What's perfect is not perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Simply play your games.